First move. What's your pickup line? So I was thinking about how guys just always got like a pickup line. We always got a way to try and get y'all's attention. And I was wondering, like, what do ladies do if they feel like they want to make the first move, or are y'all too scared to make the first move? And what if you make the move and you get rejected? How does that feel? Because guys face rejection all the time. What does that do to your self-esteem and things of that nature? So that's today's topic on the Mars Mindset. We got some people in the room. So we're going to see who's going to be first up in the meat grinder. Julie Bean!
Hi.
What's up with your hat, young?
I got my dance. I gotta look at the road. I got my dance with Julie hat.
Please do not crash, Julie Bean. What does it say? Dance with Julie Bean?
Not the beam, just Julie. Just dance with Julie.
We're going to rebrand your joint. Julie Bean's Dance Studio.
Oh my gosh.
How you feeling today?
I am feeling good.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. So you look like you got some, you look real happy. Something happened?
I'm about to go shopping for my birthday.
Birthday tomorrow.
You know, I love to shop.
Yeah. You already told me how old you're going to be.
I know. Oh my God.
So I don't know if you were on, but I got my 40-year-old doctor's appointment tomorrow. So that means I got to get my prostate checked.
Oh no.
I'm not excited.
But I mean, that's good because, you know, you're being healthy and proactive.
Yeah. I'm being healthy and proactive. So, first move, what's your pickup line? So, Julie Bean, are you the type to approach a guy and shoot your shot?
So, I will say no, I'm not, because, okay, well, a little bit, but I'm so corny. So, I decided I am going to try something different. If I'm at like a coffee shop and I see someone that, you know, I think looks nice, I'm going to pay for his coffee.
Oh, so you're going to buy his coffee.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's go down that road a little bit. You buy this guy's coffee. How do you know what kind of coffee he wants? How does that work?
I'm just going to pay for, you know how you pay it forward? Have you ever done that?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
So I'm going to just be like, here's $20 to the guy behind me or whatever. I don't know.
Okay. I like that. That's a very smart move. So you're going to buy the guy's coffee. And then you buy his coffee, and then what happens after that? In your mind, how does this thing play out? Oh, Julie Bean, you buffering. Julie Bean. Oh, Julie Bean buffering. Oh man. Julie.
Wait.
You
I'm
were
here,
buffering.
I'm here.
Okay, say what now?
Can you hear me now? So I was saying,
Yeah.
like, in a perfect world, I'll wait around a little bit to see if he realizes. And then he would be like, thank you for buying me my coffee. And I would be like, I see you here all the time. You know, I look different with my work clothes.
You gonna go Alicia Keys?
I'm going to do the Alicia Keys.
Huh.
I'm going to do the Alicia Keys. But first, I need to know if he would be interested. So if I bought him the coffee and he says thank you and just walks out the door, then clearly that was a fail.
Okay.
But if I buy him the coffee and he introduces himself, then that's my opportunity, right?
Yeah, okay, so he introduces himself. So once he introduces himself, it's pretty much a success at that point, right? Because you got his attention.
Yes.
Okay. So let's say you ended up getting his attention and he's like, yeah, thanks for the coffee. Why did you do that?
I would say because you look nice and interesting, and who doesn't want a free coffee?
Mm, okay. Is that out of your comfort zone? Out of your norm?
Yes. Yeah.
So what kind of fear? Talk about the fear you would experience in doing that. Like talk about that fear of, I guess, rejection.
It's not really the fear of rejection for me because I get rejected all the time. It's more of I don't know what to say.
So you're saying you wouldn't know how to approach the guy?
Right. Like y'all, I don't know how y'all be coming up with these pickup lines, but is there a book for women?
I don't really read books that are for women on how to pick up men. That's not really my lane. but but I would assume something to the effect of think like a man, act like a woman, or something like that. Maybe that has something in there. I don't know. I've never read it. But I think that the average guy that a woman would be interested in would really just appreciate a woman just coming up to him and being like, "Hey, like you're really attractive. Are you married or do you have a girlfriend?"
Okay. I could do that.
Yeah, I think that would be straight and to the point and let him know that you're truly interested. I mean, I like your idea of buying coffee. That's really um forward thinking and progressive because that's similar to the guy who buys the drink, right?
Right, exactly.
So have you tried this coffee trick yet?
Nope. But guess what, Chels?
What,
And
Julie?
everybody in the room, I may have a coffee date coming up very soon.
Oh, coffee date.
Stay tuned.
When's the coffee date?
It's supposed to be tomorrow, but he did give me a heads up. His flight is delayed getting back to Florida.
Okay.
And so it's tentative. But I really appreciate that he gave me that update. Isn't that crazy, Charles? Like simple communication is like gold standard. Like that's crazy.
Well, yeah, I think that people who are comfortable with themselves are appreciate. I should say, people who are comfortable with themselves appreciate direct communication.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then it doesn't feel like they're hiding anything, and even if they are kind of tentative about whatever it is that they're going to be directly communicative about, and you can see that, you still appreciate it, right? You
Yeah.
still, I could tell that she was kind of tentative or scared, but they went straight in, and it was no questions, no nothing, and this is just what it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So Julie
definitely
Bean has a coffee date on her birthday with a new guy.
Yep. And guess what, Chels? I might call you and put you in my AirPod. Um so I might be repeating myself a lot to get some feedback from you while I'm on this coffee date.
So it's gonna be Julie, the other guy, and me.
And you.
So I get to go on the coffee date too.
Yeah, I'm just not how can I say? If I'm being like myself and I'm in my element, then I feel comfortable. But I haven't dated someone in over a decade, so I don't know how to like filter myself very well yet.
Do you think you should filter yourself?
I think when I'm first meeting someone, I should because I could be a little bit much.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know if I agree or disagree with that. I think it depends on what it is that you're looking for, right? Well, at the
Chill,
extreme, I do think there should be a filter.
chill.
Huh?
I'm not trying to take over your show.
Uh-huh. Go ahead. This is your show. I'm just the host.
No, I'm just saying, like First move. That's the question.
Yeah, but the first. Oh, I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about the first move in terms of like sexual. No. I just
Oh.
mean. I mean like the approach, the pickup line.
Hmm.
I'm not talking about the. Would you like to come in for coffee?
Oh, okay. I got. Okay, okay, okay. I got you now.
Right. So, but let's talk about the filter thing, right? Um, because we talk to you every day, we know that Julie Bean is sensitive to touch.
So yeah, he ain't touching me. He ain't touching me anymore.
Okay, so let me ask you this: is that something that you would tell him about on the coffee date tomorrow?
No, no. Mm-mm.
Why not?
Because I feel like that's. I don't know. I feel like that's very too soon to. I feel like that's very personal information. Don't you
Okay,
think?
yeah, that's cool. I mean, oh wait a minute, sorry, hold on. I'm trying to ask somebody else. In. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. That's not something that I would just bring up off the rip. You know what I'm saying? Especially on what's the word I'm looking for? If he didn't ask for it, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? And that would kind of tip him off to certain things
Right.
about you that you might
Right.
not necessarily
Right.
want him to know that
Yeah.
early.
Yeah.
But
I agree with
I
that.
was thinking, I was thinking, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was thinking more in terms of because, like, you know how you tell me, like, in our sessions, you'll be like, Chels, I'm like really blunt and direct,
Hmm.
right? Is that something you think you're gonna filter?
Um, I don't want to, but because I don't know him so well, it's like I feel like it's going like on your first day at your job. Like on your first day, you kind of you feeling everybody out a little bit, and you are more careful. You're not as relaxed, so that's how I think I need to approach it.
Mm, okay, well that's fair. That's fair. It just makes me wonder. One of my things is I'm big on just being authentically you.
Yeah, me too, but I'm kind of like I don't know if that's always a good thing.
But see, that's what I got an issue. I think I take issue with that because eventually that's who that person's gonna get.
Right, but the very, very first encounter is I don't know. But you're right. If I just be me and he thinks I'm too much, then I'm gonna be too much regardless tomorrow or in a year.
So you might as well find out now, right?
Right. Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh no, I can see both sides of it. I can see both sides of it. I just wondered, you know.
So Dr. Hawk, guess what?
Thank you.
Hi.
Hey, I can't hear y'all. Wait a minute.
Oh.
Can you? Oh, Dr. Hawk left out. So we're gonna try and get Dr. Hawk back in here to find out if she rolled up on time real smooth.
She said carry my pepper spray. I have what's the other one called? It's not pepper spray, it's the zap thing.
A
The
taser?
yes, I have a taser. But maybe I should get a pepper spray. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
You need a handgun, Julie.
I'm working on that too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You need a handgun. Let's see if we can get Dr. Hawk in here. Uh-oh. Let's see. Dr. Hawk. Dr. Hawk,
Hey, what's up, y'all?
how you feeling?
Good. How are you guys?
We good, we good. You working?
No, I'm out at a restaurant.
Okay, well we won't keep you too long. You had a question for Julie Bean? Can you hear us?
I think she froze.
Oh, she got stuck.
Oh no, there she goes.
Dr. Hawk, can you hear us? She might not have good service.
Yeah.
Or maybe we on mute. Are we on mute, Doctor? All right.
Oh, we on mute.
She said, is this a new friend or have you known him? This is a new friend, right, Julie B?
Yes, this is like real brand new. I found him on a dating app.
Oh. Did you approach him or did he approach you?
Um, well, I guess the dating app matches you up based on your preferences.
Okay. Hold on right quick. Dr. Hawk, you trying to say something?
Here I am.
Hi, Dr.
No,
Hawk.
no. I had, hey y'all. So Julie, is
How
this
you feeling?
somebody that's been around? Is somebody you knew?
I met him on a dating app.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Hawk.
Oh, I was asking her, I was like, is this someone that you've known or is this somebody new?
It's somebody new. I met him on a dating app,
Okay. Okay,
which is
cool.
which is also very new for me. Um,
Mm,
we have not exchanged phone numbers,
okay.
so we're just going out for some coffee.
All right. All right.
I don't know why I'm so excited.
Because it's a new day. A new day is rising, Julie Bean. That's why.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's cool. We're all happy for you. Dr. Hawk,
Yeah.
have you ever hit on a guy first?
No, I no, I haven't. But I would, I would give looks to kind of draw the attention to get them to say something like, let them notice me noticing them, kind of thing. But I would
Hmm.
never make the first move.
Why would you avoid making the first move?
But when I was out there, which has been so long now, it's just like it wasn't part of my personality.
Hmm. Do you fear rejection or the pain of
Yeah,
rejection?
I don't know how I would feel if I would get curved. So I don't know. So that might be it. That might be it. Uh huh.
See, that's why I like having these conversations because it helps us learn about ourselves, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So think about that though, Dr. Hawk. How much value you would put into some stranger if they rejected you? Why would that matter so much? Why would that matter?
Because it's that confidence piece, regardless if it's a stranger or not. It's like it does your confidence do take a hit. That ego, not your confidence, not so much your confidence, but your ego does take a hit.
Um, I think women fear rejection more than men.
I think so too. I think
Yeah,
so too.
I think men know that their percentage of closing is going to be super low. So they're just okay
Hmm.
with the fact that it's like baseball, right? Like if
Yeah.
you hit 3 out of 10, average of 3 out of 10, you're a really good hitter.
Right. Right.
For real.
Yeah.
Like if you
And
bat 300 in Major League Baseball, like you go to the Hall of Fame.
yeah, and it's the thing is, and again, it's one of those societal things that women are supposed to be chased and men supposed to be the chasers. So,
Yeah, I
and
think
that's a
that
societal thing. But I'm glad to see more women like shoot their shot. You know.
well, I think that more women are gonna have to start. I think the women who want husbands are gonna have to start shooting their shots more
Mhm.
because this it's way more competitive now, and it's gonna
Mhm.
be weird. I think it's gonna be weird for women, but if you want something that's scarce, you
Mhm.
probably work hard and get your hands a little dirty and get your feelings hurt to a degree in order to be able to get it. And I think that's new for women, which is gonna be kind of scary. So, but that's Julie Bean. Julie Bean's the one that has to deal with that. Dr. Hawk doesn't have to worry about that,
I
right?
know, right? But I have a question. Do you think men reject a lot?
I don't think it's in a man's nature to reject a woman,
Oh, okay.
right? I don't think it's in man's uh software, biological software to reject a woman. Now, of course, we'll do it for different reasons, right? Circumstances and things like that. Circumstances, you married, you got a girlfriend. Um, you might just be focused on whatever it is that you're doing at the time. You might be honed in on your craft or whatever. But I think that most men don't receive random attention that often.
Really?
Yeah.
Right. And that's why, like, when if a woman does say something to them, they like, oh, okay. Like, I think some men might, like that.
Oh yeah, we do. Everybody likes compliments and to be, have attention placed on them and things like that. And I think that because most men aren't really seen out in the world, especially by women, that if a woman does approach him, even if the circumstances dictate that he can't, you know, reciprocate that, there's a part of him that wants to reciprocate it because it could be a really long time before some stranger comes up to him again, right? But I think women, dudes try to holler at them all the time. So y'all actually get in this repetition thing of just being like, no, 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 no. Here comes the same thing that's came to me every day for the past since I was 16, and I'm not interested. But dudes, we don't get hollered at every day, day in and day out. It doesn't work like that for us. Which is why we are the ones that have to come up with the pickup lines.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're the seekers or whatever. So
So,
so Dr. Hawk, how did Mr.
Yeah.
Tom approach? What was Mr. Tom's pickup line?
So it's funny because, like, when we met, I had never met him and I knew all his people. He actually got somebody else to say something to me first. But I still wasn't, I still didn't respond. But we went out and I happened to see him out at a club, and then he did come up to me and approach me and was like, I know, and he was like, I know my cousin probably told you, but I want to tell you myself that I am interested. So we exchanged numbers. Hmm.
Oh, so he was direct then. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Do women like that? Do women prefer direct? Hey, like I'm interested.
yeah. I guess.
That's
I
what I was
guess.
gonna
Yeah.
ask. Why do they do those pickup lines?
Um, I think because I think guys know that other guys have been trying to talk to you too. So we try and come up with something that's different that will catch your attention.
Yeah, but all of them do that, so they all end up doing the same thing.
Yeah, but we don't know that. I'm not with each other. We're not all in the convention like, okay, what are we gonna say to the ladies, right? We all solo. We lone wolves. We not pack. When it come down to getting a woman, we not pack animals. We like, I'm going on the hunt by myself, and I'm gonna see what I can come back with to my cabin, right? But I think what it really comes down to is that we want to, and this is very true. Men genuinely want to impress women. A lot of men's self-confidence comes from his ability to impress women. Even after you're married, you still have a desire to impress your wife, right? And if a man can make a woman happy, can fulfill a woman in the different ways that he feels that he can, that makes him feel more of a man. It makes him feel solidified in his manhood even more. So the reason why you get the pickup lines is because men want to say something that grabs you and pulls you in and brings you into their realm so that they can actually have your time and attention. Right? But what's crazy is that y'all are basically saying you'd be better off just coming to me straight up and being like, hey, listen, I think you're attractive and I'd like to take you out. Would you say, Dr. Hawk? You say, yeah?
I say, yeah, I agree. I agree.
Hmm. Okay. Let's see if you go ahead, Dr. Hawk. What were you saying?
I was gonna say, yeah, don't beat around the bush because, don't waste the time. Don't waste the time. Just let me know what you wanted to do.
Okay. Mikhail,
What's going on?
how you feeling? You okay? You're not sick, are you?
No, my son, he done sprained his he done
What happened?
sprained his foot.
Oh, dang. Was he playing sports or something?
No, he was trying to walk the normal activity and tripped
Oh,
down the
man.
steps.
Oh, man. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope everything turns out for the best.
Yeah, we should be out of here in no time.
Okay. Y'all at the hospital? Or y'all at like patient first or something like that?
Kaiser.
Guys, okay, cool, cool, cool. So let's talk about it. what is your go-to pickup line? Or
I don't
what
have
was
a
your
pickup.
go-to pickup line?
I never had a pickup line. I became friends just chilling and kicking it. I never tried to holler like that. I
So,
wasn't. I know y'all thinking all this fineness that women were just flocking after me, but no, I was the ugly duckling.
Oh, all right, y'all. I'm going to log off. My girlfriend here.
oh, tell Mia I say hi.
Nakia, not
Oh, tell
Mia.
Nakia I say hi.
Say hi, Kia.
Hi, Nakia. How you doing?
All right.
All right. Hey, enjoy, Dr. Hope.
All right.
Appreciate you.
All right.
All right.
Huh?
So
Yeah,
so
Dr. Hulk.
I never
Hey,
really
go ahead.
I never really did that part. I was the break the ice comedian, having fun jokes, and smooth my way into the relationship that way.
So, but yeah, but so like, okay, so you meet them as friends because of some group, occurrence, right? Or group occurrences
Yeah,
that are occurring, and hopefully you can still, right? But what is that? The very first moment that where you let them know, like, yo, I'm interested. What does that look like?
it looked like strictness. Like to me, you fine. I like the vibes. Back then we didn't use the word vibes, but I like kicking it. You know what I mean? Let's see where it goes.
Okay, so that's pretty straight and to the point. Have you ever had a woman approach you?
Yes,
What did that look like, and how did that feel?
it's different. I always got the older woman that was approaching me that knew exactly what she wanted. Very direct.
You say you always. I'm sorry, I muted my mic because it was somebody going down the road with a motorcycle and a bunch of loud music. You said you had the older approaching you,
Yeah, I always had the older women that approached me, and they were very direct.
and they're direct.
They very direct. They know exactly what they want. They're gonna tell you what they want.
Do you prefer the directness or do you prefer the beating around the bush?
I like the directness, you know.
So, okay, you like the directness. So
But
if
I
a
was
woman
always
was,
the one to say, I can't. I'm involved. A lot of times because I got two wives, they think that I'm with it, and I had to let them know that I'm not. You know what I mean? Because it's not what I'm just fun on
oh,
the
you
grand.
breaking up?
I know we have all that kind
You
of
broke
stuff,
up?
but I'm still breaking up.
Yeah, you was
Hold on,
you,
let me
you
turn
was
my
breaking
internet
up a
on.
little bit.
Let me turn my internet.
All right, all right. Julie Bean, where you at? You in Target?
No, I'm at Marshall's Home Goods.
Julie, you in Target?
No, I'm at
Okay,
Marshall's
so go up
Home
to the
Goods.
next guy you see this by himself. Go up to the next guy that you see that's by himself and tell him that you find him attractive. Let's see what happens.
But I need to be for real, and there are none in here.
There are no guys in the Marshall's Home Goods.
Not attractive ones.
Oh, we no. This is just a test for us.
And then what?
And then we're just gonna see how it goes. We want to see how he reacts.
He's gonna think it's a prank. He's gonna think it's a prank.
He gonna say she on the Instagram live hollering at me. Let's see if we can get him. Oh,
So
thank you,
it's
Tracy. I appreciate that. I'm trying to get
so,
Mikkel. I'm trying to get Mikkel. Y'all got bad service today, Dr. Hope at
so
dinner.
so you saying it's better to be just direct.
I'm saying, in my opinion, it's probably better to be direct because then it leaves nothing to wonderance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that guys, I think if you're talking about a young lady, you're talking about a lady approaching a guy. Like I said, most guys don't get approached that often. So regardless of how you do it, I'm trying to get you in, Mikhail. Regardless of how you do it, he's going to be appreciative of the fact that you even approach him, even if he can't reciprocate for whatever reason. He's
Mm-hmm.
going to be appreciative of it. Now he might not necessarily show it to you, but he's gonna call his boy and be like, "Yo, I think this chick was just trying to holler at me." Yo, like I must still got it. It say you unable to join, Mikhail.
Oh,
I can get you back in, bro.
yeah, that makes sense. So actually, we shouldn't be so fearful of rejection if guys are going to be more appreciative than women who already expect it.
Yeah, I think a woman who approaches a guy has a better chance of sealing the deal than a guy who approaches a woman. So we actually have more to fear than y'all do because we get rejected way more than y'all do.
And that's why I never wanted to do it, for real, for real. I don't know that I could take that rejection.
You got a fear of rejection?
I don't know if I could
Really?
take. I walk across the room and try to holler at somebody and go back across the room. I was that one in school, right? That would pass the note.
Uh, do you like me? Yes or no? Uh,
With the little
well, I know.
box,
Yeah, check the
the
box.
check mark, check the box.
Yeah, protect it. So I know with the way I hollered at my wife. I gave. So my wife was friends with my best friend's sister, right? So I ended up giving my number to my best friend's sister, and she gave it to Lil. And then me and Lil started texting, and then Lil actually kind of hollered at me after that because she texted me and said something like, "What are we? I mean, you doing tonight?" Right? So I guess that was her way of shooting her shot, even though it was safe to her for her to shoot the shot because she already knew that I wanted to holler because I had made sure that she got the number.
Now, see, the me now is totally different from the me back then.
So what would it look like now?
Now it would look straightforward, you
Mm.
know, like, hey, what's up? I think you're beautiful, and beauty got to be the first attraction because I got to be attracted to you. So I'm interested in knowing what your mind is like now.
Oh, okay.
See if
I
we're
like.
compatible. What do you like? This is what I like. What do you like?
Mm.
You see, that's a very
Julie Mae.
respectful approach.
Another.
I could I could appreciate that approach. It's respectful, it's honest and direct, and it's respectful.
Okay, Julie, let me ask you this then. You said guys come with pickup lines. What are some of the best pickup lines that you've heard?
The best,
Or just memorable? They don't have to be that great, but memorable ones.
it was something about sunshine or my smile and sunshine. I mean, I can't remember exactly what he said, but I know how it made me feel.
It made you feel all warm and fuzzy and tingly inside?
Yes, it made me feel warm and fuzzy and tingly.
Okay. So mentioning sunshine works well, and mentioning your smile works well. Blessings, blessings.
Yeah.
And so, did he get the number? Did he get the
No,
digits?
no,
Well, what
no.
good is that then, Julie?
Well, I mean, it's not my fault. I was in a committed relationship, but I still thought it was nice.
Okay. But he probably went and used it on the next person or didn't use it on the next person.
Probably. Oh, I don't know. Do they use them, reuse and recycle them like that?
I don't know. Marchello, you think dudes reuse pickup lines?
I'm sure they do. Ain't nothing new under the sun. Now here's the flip side. Like me, I'm a networker, so when I'm out, I like talking to people, I like engaging people, and sometimes that could be misconstrued that you're trying to pick somebody up.
So have you ever been in that situation where she began to reciprocate what she thought was like a pass and you had to let her know, like, oh nah, baby girl, like I wasn't trying to holler at you. I'm here to do business.
Well, she wasn't reciprocating it. She was trying to tell me she was involved with somebody. I said, oh no, you got the wrong idea, because I guess she's used to evasive men coming up to her to talk to her with the pickup lines, like you're saying, and not being direct.
Julie, has that ever happened to you? Julie Bean.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, have you ever tried to holler at not tried to holler at a guy, but been in a conversation and he thought that you were trying to holler at him? He's like, oh no, ma'am, I'm married. Or I got a girlfriend.
No, Mm-mm.
Hmm.
Mm-mm.
Man, women just have a different experience than guys.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Y'all
must
got
agree.
y'all just gotta show up and get attention.
And sometimes we ain't even looking right because there's times where I'm
You, you
like,
know you know the saying, right? Men F who they can, women F who they want.
Ah, that's true. That's true. But you know where men hold all the power though, right? Men hold the power in marriage, in access to marriage,
Yeah.
right? So in the dating world, it's their ball game. But once it's a
ab-
love thing and they want commitment, we like Thanos.
yep,
we we can snap everybody else out of existence. So Lil
that's
said,
true.
let me pin this comment. Lil said, why is it when you tell a man who is trying to holler that you are married or have a boyfriend, their response is,
I think that's the most disrespectful thing ever.
Yes, very.
And because I would never do that because I don't want that kind of karma. I've never done that because I don't want that kind of karma.
right, right.
Yes. I'm going to jump off, y'all. They just called us back.
All right, appreciate you. Best of luck. Feel better, young king. We appreciate you.
All right.
All right, brother. All right. Julie Bean.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot. I would tell them, respectfully, I'm in a relationship, and they would just be like, "That's not what I asked you," or or "That ain't got nothing to do with me."
So what is the feeling or whatever that occurs when he approaches you and you tell him like, nah, I'm not interested, I'm married. And he's like, so you can't have friends? What is that initial? What's up, Chanel? What's your initial emotion? Is it disgust? Is it irritation? Is it frustration? What is it?
For me, it's more disgust. I don't let it frustrate me unless, like, I have had guys like follow me around, um, and that turns into frustration because I was polite, I was nice, and it was like you don't want to take no for an answer, and you kind of want to like force the conversation to continue. At that point,
Uh,
it does become more frustrating.
Zelda said, I have been on Instagram just doing my little TikTok. I have had several men text me wanting to get to know me even after I told them I was married. Okay, give me a second. Let's see. You want to come on and talk about it? So I noticed something too. I'm trying to invite some people in, and it's saying y'all got to upgrade y'all's app in order to get into the room. So I won't name no
Oh,
names.
really?
I have the updated version of Instagram, and you would like to come on the platform, then you're probably gonna have to upgrade your app. So she declined. Let's see who. Yeah.
So, Charles, what would be a good pickup line for me to use?
Um. Okay.
Imagine if I went like this, like exactly.
What you a snake?
That's what guys do.
Oh. Hey, Sade. Hey, baby girl.
Oh
No,
Lord.
I'm saying nah. I mean, in my opinion, like I said, I like this. I like the straightforward. I think I don't know if I have a definitive feature that women would be attracted to, right? But let's just say it was my eyes.
Okay.
I would say, if a woman came up and was like, "Excuse me, like you have really pretty eyes. Are you married?" I would be like, "Oh shit, well, thank you." Not every day that someone compliments my eyes. But yes, I am married, so I'm sorry that I can't reciprocate, but I appreciate your acknowledgement of my eyes, right? Now, if I wasn't married and I
Okay.
was in the dating market, even if I wasn't attracted, I would probably feel inclined to be like, thanks, I appreciate that. I'm not married. You want to exchange phone numbers?
So complimenting a feature is the way in, I guess.
Complimenting a feature or just acknowledging that you find this person attractive in some way, shape, or fashion is a simple way to do it, right? Or whatever it is that draws you to that person, you could just tell them that, because it could be that you're in a setting to where maybe you see them public speaking, right? Or you're impressed by the way they do their job, or whatever the case may be. A simple compliment on something that's directly correlated to them is a good way in. Dr. Hulk said a smile or teeth or skin. Yeah, any compliment that you give a guy, but once you give the compliment, if you follow it up with, are you involved with someone? Do you have a girlfriend? Are you married? That right there lets the guy know, like, oh, like she hollering at me.
Okay, I got it now.
Because
Step one.
I can have, I don't know, attractive eyes, and that could just be a passing compliment,
Right, exactly.
right? But you set it up. You're basically saying, hey, I'm attracted to you, and I'm attracted to you enough to find out if we can kind of see what's up with each other.
Okay, so I had to follow it up with are you with asking them about their status.
I think that cuts through what is it called? What do they call it? Is it ambiguity?
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it cuts through that, because I know that as a guy, and I don't get hollered at that often. That could just be a passing compliment, and I also don't want to look like a fool. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right,
you
right.
giving me a compliment, and then I'm thinking it's more than that. You like, oh, no, 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 no. I'm married, sir. My therapist said I should give a stranger a compliment every day, and you seem like a nice guy, so I'm just giving it, and I'm sitting there with the loser cool, like, damn, I thought I had one.
Okay, okay. All right, so I'm gonna do that.
You gonna let us know how it turned out?
Yep. I'm gonna write it down and we'll see. I'm gonna do it often.
Okay, so let me read this. Zelda said, do you like a woman to be aggressive with you if you were meeting her for the first time, or would you like a woman to be more settled and at ease? Um, I think I like subtle hints, right?
Okay, Charles, but that's not subtle.
What's not subtle? No, 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 no. Well, no. I was thinking that she meant the question in a sense of like, we've passed that point.
Oh, okay.
Now, I appreciate being direct if we've never met and you're just letting me know what it is, right? But if if we were out on our first date and she just was like, "Hey, are you gonna give me some or not?" I'll be like, "What?" Like, you're not gonna make me feel like a piece of meat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So even if I were willing to treat myself like a piece of meat, I want her to treat me like a piece of meat. Hold on, right quick. So yeah, I would like the subtle hints, but my love language is physical touch. So not that she would know that, but a bit of touching would probably be like, oh, she touching me. Oh,
Is it appropriate to ask that when you first meet someone?
what's your love language?
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate.
Okay.
I think it's appropriate because even if, in my opinion, to seek to understand someone's love language is to seek to understand them. Right?
Right.
So even if this isn't going to work out between us for whatever reason, you know that I'm the type of person who cares about the way in which you want to receive love. So if we end up being friends or just acquaintances, I know what you're into. So if we're just friends and you're having a down day and I know your love language is such, I would feel more comfortable about just giving you a hug or
Right.
rubbing you on your back like, yo, it's going to be okay. Right?
Okay.
Because I asked that in the beginning, I already know that. So that cuts through all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I'm
Mikhail,
preparing
you
for
back.
I'm preparing for my coffee date.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. We're gonna help you plan your coffee then. But Karen, what you get?
Yeah, I was about to touch on the aggressiveness. I mean, I like the straightforwardness in the beginning, but I don't like aggressiveness either. Like, I want to be the one to come after it, or not. Not. I don't mean aggressive in that sense. Um, and I guess that's a whole nother topic, the love language that you did last time. But yeah, come caress or kiss or something like that. Don't just tell me you want something. That's a turn off for me.
Yeah, I think once we get to a certain level.
Yeah, when you get to a certain level. I mean, even before then, some women are just aggressive. Some women just gonna let you know, hey, I ain't looking for nothing like that. I'm just looking for to have some fun, blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
Do you believe that like if that happens often, if that were to happen to you, would you believe it or would you be like, I don't really know?
Say it again.
Let's say they are aggressive with off the rip and they're saying, I don't want any attachments. I'm just trying to get down. Are you buying that completely or are you like, I don't really know? He's a runner, he's a track star.
Why
I'm,
why why would you run?
I'm running.
Why?
I'm not interested in that.
Oh, okay.
See, I think my default is that I think on the deepest level, women want to be cherished and loved on, right? Like in love. And I think that women who are that direct about just the physical aspect of it, I think a lot of them are really trying in some way, shape, or fashion to get over their pain. And in my mind, I'd be thinking, yeah, that may be what she's saying. And on a surface level, that may be what she genuinely thinks. But I think on a deeper level, she really is seeking like that real genuine love. And if I'm not going to be the one to give it to her, then that might not be something that I want to fall into. Does that make sense?
It
Yeah,
does. It does. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say like that makes sense, but I don't think a lot of men think like that.
What do you think a lot of men think like?
I think that when women approach them that way, um, they'll just take advantage of that opportunity. Because I
Okay.
hear stories about how men are like messing with this girl and she's crazy and it started out like this and now it's really complicated. And it's like if they were to think about that disclaimer that she presented in the beginning and be smarter about their choices, maybe they wouldn't be in the mess that they're in. But I thought you said that men want sex. Like that's at the top of their mind.
On a primal level,
All
yeah.
right.
On a primal level, yes. But especially as men get older and they have more things to lose and more to gain and all of those types of things, then while sex is still important to us, the things that we've already worked extremely hard to acquire come into play as well.
Okay.
So the level of trust that we have in a woman and our her become better more as we get older because we stand to lose. Like even if I'm not married or have a girlfriend, you're still gonna occupy you're still gonna occupy my time, right?
Got it.
So if I'm Tyrell and I'm focused on real estate and I'm selling houses, right? The more time I give you, the less time I'm selling houses, the less time I'm researching the agent, that whatever the agent database is, the one, not the one that we have access to, the one that he has access to, the networking, phone calls, and all of that. So, and I'm just saying, as you get older, and you like, nah, man, like, I'm building my legacy. It's gonna matter. So you gotta have to be more important than just primal importance for me. You know what I'm
Got
saying?
it. Yeah, that makes.
Tyrell,
What's going on?
Peace King, how you feeling?
Good in yourself?
I'm pretty good. The heat is out in my house, and the guys are coming tomorrow to try and fix it. And I was irritated about it, but I worked through it. But that's okay. I worked through my emotions.
I was
Um,
just like, my motto now is tell me something good. Tell me something good that happened for the day.
yeah, I woke up, I ate. My house is still here. My family's still intact. and I'm still doing my show.
So then the heat is minor.
The heat is minor, because it's not even cold in here.
See,
And
you don't know.
I got a fireplace and space heaters, so that's life, right? So I know you. We got space heaters. We got space heaters. We got space. We ready. We ready. Tyrell. So what's your like go-to pickup line if you see a young lady and you like, damn, like I gotta say something to her? What does that look like?
Don't have one of those. Never was that guy.
So what do you say? You say something.
I was never a pickup line. I was never a pickup line guy. I was more so just conversation, and I was just very direct with what my intentions were. But you said a little while ago before I got on that if a female came up and said, "Hey, like I'm just looking to get to where we need to go," and pretty much want to miss all the other stuff, I was just like, depends on which Tyrell you got. If you'd got the younger Tyrell when he was just in his phase, I can't even think of who sings the song, but it's like I'm about to dive in it.
Okay.
Now I'm like, yeah, no, what's the matter? Who hurt you? What happened? Why are you just now ready to give the world everything that you own?
Okay. I'm with you there. I think when you're younger, you just like, hey, let's go. Okay, bet. What is it now that makes you have that more sort of a nuanced or long-term view?
I would say my three things. One would be I'm happily engaged.
Okay.
Two, had to put that one out there first because she
Smart
be
man.
checking in every now and again.
Smart man.
Two, as someone who works in the church community, I have a responsibility for not just for an image, but how I handle people.
Okay.
And then the third one is my business. I can't be Tyrell Townsend Realtor and Tyrell Townsend Slinging. Like I gotta be mindful. So I can't, because my name is my reputation.
Right.
So if my name is out there on the capacity of me out here taking on every woman in the city, yes, I might get some business from that, but I also want to get some heat from that.
So you have the more long-term view. That's what I was saying. Basically, is that you start looking at how is this thing gonna play out down the line.
Yeah, no, I was just like, my goal right now is $1 million annually. I'm not nowhere near it right now, but that's the goal. I cannot do that with the tarnished reputation about me slinging everything everywhere.
Yeah, that's what you about. How old are you, my brother?
I'm 27.
Okay, yeah, you there kind of early then.
Wow.
Man, you there kind
Yeah.
of early.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I've been through some stuff. I told y'all just the last podcast. If you would have caught me at like 24, you would have caught a whole nother person. Now I'm one. I recognize one of the biggest things when people tend to give their body as a commodity, they no longer realize the importance of the commodity that they possess. It's like taking money and setting it on fire. The commodity is this piece of paper allows me to do something, allows me to gain other avenues of different things. If I'm going to release myself to any and everything, I jeopardize who I am spiritually, naturally, emotionally, physically, to whatever you decide to do with it.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. And Julie, you could tap in on this one too. I think that women have more to lose in that particular arena than men do.
Why?
Because I think men care more about a woman's body count than women care about a man's body count.
But statistically, you can get the same STDs if you have the same body counts or
Yeah,
less.
and that, and we all know that. But what I'm saying is that a guy would prefer. I think men more so would prefer a woman with a smaller body count than a woman would compare than a woman would with a man. You see what I'm saying? Like I think women care less about how many women a guy has been with, and I'm talking about on average.
Yes, yes, that is. But that is all based off of a stigma. Because to be honest, why does it matter if she slept with one guy or 100 guys in comparison to you sleeping with one girl or 100 women, or one woman or 100 women?
I
I understand the mindset behind it, and I understand, like, yes, it's a stigma that we place on women because of the fact of wherever that stigma came from. But in essence, a real woman isn't going to care about how many bodies a man has prior to her, as long as he's clean and healthy. A real man ain't going to care about how many bodies a real woman had, as long as she's clean and healthy when she gets to him.
I think that Julie, you got anything?
Yeah, I was just thinking about what Tyrell was saying, and I I wouldn't be as attracted to a man that has a high body count,
But do you
even if
think?
he's clean. Huh?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Even if he's clean and healthy, like that to me is not as attractive. Like yeah, it's not as attractive to me.
Okay, and that makes sense and that's fair. If you were doing a comparison, though, if you were just thinking about it, who do you think cares more about body count, men or women?
I think men care more
And why do you think that is?
because um it's like saying, they're messing with someone who everybody's been with. It's um like
Why
he
you do
he
the
ain't
lips?
special. He ain't special.
Uh, what about the biological aspect of it? Like I think that men are more driven to sleep with multiple women than women are driven to sleep with multiple men.
Um yeah, I agree. I I don't know. I guess it's easier for men, and we're more emotional. I was watching this video, and the guy said that the man enters the woman, so she, in essence, is like giving her body away to that man,
Hmm.
whereas he is not giving. He's not giving her anything.
You mean like he's not receiving anything from her? Like he's entering her as himself, and he's leaving out as himself. And when
Right.
he enters her, he leaves a portion of himself inside of her being.
Right. So it affects women more. It affects us more, and it affects us differently.
I saw a similar reel. I saw the one you're talking about or something similar, and I saw another one, and this girl was saying that the more women, I'm sorry, the more men that a woman has slept with, the more likely she is to get divorced because she's going to compare her husband to the other guys that she's been with. And if those other guys are, I guess, better sexually than her husband, she's going to always desire those other guys.
Nah, I have to disagree with that because I feel like at that point, it's got to be more than just the sex, right?
Hmm. Well,
So
in theory,
I wouldn't make it the comparison.
hmm. Yeah,
Because
I
like
just
if I
think
slept with like 50
I just think
men,
that
that ain't fair. I have more
yeah.
experience.
Well, she was saying if you slept with 50 men, then you're likely to be satisfied with your husband.
I mean, I understand, but once you're married, I don't think you're choosing your husband based off of sex, right?
Well, I don't know. We had a whole show on the Keisha show on I think it was Wild and Wild Convos about whether if you had a great great sex and a terrible relationship, or a great relationship and terrible sex, people were saying they'd rather have great sex with a terrible relationship. So I'm kind of like I don't know anymore. Hold on, who's asking to come in? Can y'all hear me? Okay, hold on. Nikki's trying to get in here. Tyrell, you got something? You got something to add? You at Target?
I am.
What are you talking about, Target? Oh, he is at Target.
He
Okay.
is at. See, I somebody he was broke when he came through the door. If you go to Target, you just hand them your money when you walk through the door.
I'm always Target. Target is my weakness.
I try to stay away from Target.
I do too, but I always end up. Always need something. Like that's a whole nother story. But when it comes down to it, I guess it's really just based off of what your personal preferences are. Like what's gonna bother me about my fiance, not bother. Excuse me, what would not bother me about
Oh,
my fiance would.
him and Julie are
Can
they
y'all
both?
hear me now?
Yeah, both of
Can
y'all
you hear me now?
buffering on my. Yeah, go ahead.
So what I was saying was, it really depends on what your personal preferences are. What would bother or what wouldn't bother me about my fiance may bother another man. What would bother you, what wouldn't bother you about your wife is would bother another man. Our preferences are that those things we don't find as significant, so therefore it doesn't matter to us.
So you're saying it's mostly subjective.
It really is because why we can't put it in a mass scale because what I'm going to do in my relationship isn't what you're going to do in your relationship. We may do things similar, but we are going to do things differently because it's just how we're deciding to move.
Mm. Well, I agree that almost everything is subjective, but I still think that there are baseline foundational preferences that men and women have. Like if you were to poll 1,000 men about the amount of women, about an amount of men that a woman has slept with, you would find that an overwhelming majority of those men would feel similarly, right? And I think you could do the same thing for women too. And based on that, that's I guess that's why they do surveys or what do they polls? You try and find out what matters to the overwhelming majority or 51% to be able to make the argument. Nikki and Vicky, how y'all
Hey,
doing?
hey, Vic, hey, Chills.
What's
I'm
up?
good. How are y'all?
Hey,
Good, good, good. Nikki, you was in first. What you want to add to the conversation? Or what's your pickup line?
What
What was your pickup line for John? What'd you say to John? You said, "Hey, big brother."
you know what though? So here's the kicker. Don was literally the only man in my life that I sought after.
Okay.
So visually I liked what I saw initially, and I was just like, that is a beautiful specimen. So when I because I met him in a community that I used to live in, I asked about him first. I was told a couple of things, and then I circled back and I basically asked him out, but in a way that made him believe that it was his idea.
You tricked him. The trickery. This is witchcraft. You did
The
witchcraft on my man.
manipulation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, I don't even know, because I was afraid. I was afraid because I never did that before, right? So I didn't want to be rejected. I had just started like really wanting to get back into the dating pool. And it was after like uh 8-year-long relationship and my 2-year hiatus. So I was like, okay, I'm ready to date now. So, but yeah, I just told him when I was waiting for my carpool with my job. I heard him and his coworker talking about seafood and the best places to get seafood. And I was just like, oh my gosh. I was like, so what do you like there? He was like, man, the scallops are amazing. And so soon as I saw the carpool car pull up, I was like, it's now or never. So I was like, so these scallops, we're going to get them on Friday at, he was like, 7. I was like, okay, here's 7. So I'll meet you here at 7.
I like that, Nikki.
Now that's game. That's game.
I like that. Huh.
It was like, and then I got in the car and I told my coworkers and I was like, hurry up, drive off. Like,
But you know what though? You know what? I like hearing stories about married women who actually like did something, took a real live initiative, because that's how it works sometimes. I think we expect to always be the ones, but if a woman really approach you, like as a man, you already know, like, yo, she interested, bro.
I was very interested. But the other comment that I had was in reference to what you said you had watched I think a documentary or a show that a woman has a greater chance of getting divorced if she has had more sexual partners, because then I guess like in comparison to the husband, like she runs up against the chance of not being satisfied or having more to gauge up against what she's married to. I'm going to say that I agree with that. And here's why. Some things that was put in place, like from, even if you're not like really a religious type of person, you got to understand and respect that some of the safeguards that came via the Bible were in place for a reason. If you go and you're eating food from all around the world, and then somebody tell you after that you have to just be content with this food, you're going to be like, yeah, but I don't experience everything. So like, do I just want this food? If you are a virgin when you get married, which I wasn't, so I'm not about to shame people, but really think about it from this perspective. If you're a virgin when you get married, right? Mm-hmm. What do you have to compare against your wife? Like, oh, my wife is horrible in bed. How do you know that? You never been with anybody else.
Right. Well, it was actually a young lady that was making the argument, and you're right. What she was basically saying is, but she was talking about women. She had it honed in on the women. She was saying that statistics show that women who've had sex with some number of guys, and it wasn't even that much of a number, it was like 5 or more, are more likely to get divorced than women who've been with less than 5 guys. And I don't know if this was some scientific poll and they asked these women and these men these questions or something, but it's something I was like, damn, like that's really interesting. But you know me, I inverted. I'm like, well, is that the case for the guys, or guys just like, nah, like when I get ready to get married, it's all about the person that I like, and I'm not really into comparing because she's my one. So yeah, I don't know. Vicky, well, welcome back.
Hey y'all. Ooh,
hey Vic.
I was going through. Hey, how you doing?
Good.
God bless y'all.
How you feeling?
Well, you know what? I thank God that my phone is back working again. So, I have a new SIM card, so I shouldn't be buffering as much. But everything else is everything. And
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know you prayed today because I shared your morning prayer, so we appreciate that.
Yes. Praise God. Thank you.
Have you ever approached a guy with a pickup line or just shooting your shot?
Yeah, I have a couple of times. In my heyday, I was bold.
Okay, what did that look like?
It was more so, let me see if can I take a trip down memory lane? So I'm a foodie, so I love to eat all day, every day. And you know, if I was out and about, and you know, back then guys were bold too. And I remember one time I was at this restaurant, I saw this gentleman, and he was working behind, you know, in the back with the cooks. And I peeped him and I saw him. I was like, oh, he looks nice. And I'm like scrambling in my mind because I'm like, well, how am I going to be able to get to him because he's in the back? And so I pulled somebody else aside. I was asking for the manager, and I was just like, you know, well, who's cooking? Who's the one that's cooking tonight? And he was like, oh, well, we have such. And you know, back there I was very like, I guess, I don't know if it was, I don't know if the word was like smooth or not, but I was, you know, I'm a people person already. So I was kind of like trying to finagle my way. And I was like, well, you know, do you mind if I can see, you know, who is cooking in the back? And so I already saw him, but I wanted to see him again. And so I was like, oh, okay. And so he literally had brought the guy out and was like, yeah, this is one of the people that, you know, is cooking on for tonight. And I was just like, okay. And I just kind of gave him a look. And I was just like, I'm really interested in the cook himself, not just the food.
Period.
I was extra. I was extra. Lord.
Hardcore, you are right on
Period.
first blood, yo.
I was.
Schwarzenegger, get to the chopper.
Yeah, I was. I was like,
I'm ashamed of
yeah.
myself.
What happened? What did I miss? But that was like
No,
in
I
my
said
20s. What you say? That was in my 20s, y'all, and I was just very like, I knew I had what I had, and I was just like, look, I'm not waiting. And so I was kind of the one that you would know if I liked you or not. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and you would know if I didn't like you because there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like
Okay.
I was very upfront and bold, and sometimes not so nice at times. But that was me back then. Me now, I don't think you will ever find. I don't think they really will know if I like them.
Hold on. So you saying now you don't think you shoot your shot at all? You just do like the batting eyes and look and try to look.
Yeah, I haven't. I think I've told like besides like a friend, you know, a friend that someone I think I told like a friend that I you know like them, but someone that I'm like literally just meeting. I remember someone was just reaching out and tell me like I'm not even sure if I'm your type. I'm not even sure if you like me like that. And I was just like, I think I done lost it, Jesus. Like I done been hidden so long that I forgot how to even.
You ain't got no game.
I ain't got no game no more.
Jesus take the wheel.
It's the dimension deal, right? Like if you don't exercise muscle, it just gets weak.
I lost it.
I was just like, you want to know what the bad part is? I'm sitting over here laughing, thinking about like 3 different scriptures that I can make jokes out of because of that one comment.
You know, and I was like, you know, because as I came into knowing who Lord is, you know, I remember, you know, you're supposed to be pursued by the man is supposed to find you, you know, and I'm out here just finding it, picking and saying, this is what I want. And so I got to a point where I just I fell all the way back. And so when I fell all the way back, you know, men looking at me like, aren't you married? And I'm like, I must have fell all the way back like I'm hidden because I'm still single.
Vicky, do you think that when the scriptures speak of a man that's supposed to be in pursuit of a woman, do you think that means from the beginning to the end, or just initially?
I think he's always supposed to be in pursuit. Like he's always supposed to date you.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree with that.
Like, I think it's for me, I take it as he is always supposed to, you know, be observant, seek you, be there for you. Don't get dull. You know, that's what happens in a lot of situations. They pursue you, they seek you, and then they forget that they got you, and they stop doing the things that drew you to them. And
I
it's
think
kind of
more
like
women do that. I think women
yeah.
do that more than men. Men, because a lot of the times men feel like where women drop the ball is that chemistry, keeping up that spark, keeping up that desire, keeping me wanting to look. That's the reason why, listen, just right here, This is Lena, okay? She's going to be changed on Sunday because he
This is
gets a
Shayna.
different girlfriend every week. You got to keep.
Exactly.
It's things like that you have to keep doing.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that men don't drop the ball because they do. You know, some of them find mistresses in the Xbox. Some of them find mistresses at the golf club with the
Hmm.
golf club, you know. So I mean, there's distractions for all of us. But I wanted to hear whether or not you thought that that was because a man is supposed to pursue you. Do you think that he is supposed to be the one to first notice you?
Oh,
Um, you know what I mean?
yeah. Ooh, deja vu. Do I have deja vu, or just is a premonition, Jesus? Because I feel like this has already been asked, and I've seen this before. So I'm just gonna let that be known. This stuff is real. But let me take it back. I I definitely believe that the man is supposed to be the one to come at you. And the reason why I say that is that, you know, I believe in the word of God. It says, he who finds a wife. It didn't say the one that gets on her knees and asks the man to be her husband or to seek after him. It says that he who finds a wife, that he is always already looking. And so it takes the pursuit out. If I tell you that I want you, you stop now observing me, you stop actually paying attention to me. I done gave you the answer.
Mm.
So for me, it's more so I think now I don't feel all the way back, completely back to where I know that I look at it more so that God is hiding me so that he can find me. Because if I'm always available, what's the point of being found if I'm being seen?
Now, and I definitely could see that perspective. I definitely understand, respect, and acknowledge where you're coming from. I
Mm-hmm.
thought about it when I was in the position of being single, and I definitely wanted to be found. I thought about it from the space of, is God trying to show me that the way in which I've been going about it, or the way that my interpretation of what He directed me to do, is not what I'm really supposed to receive, which is why that one time it just so happened to pay off for me that time. Because everything was Vicky. See, because I ain't had mine together the way that you did.
I
So
mean,
I had to do everything that I was doing, I had to go and do the complete opposite. That's the truth. And
no,
I'm honest about that.
that's completely fine. I'm just telling you like where I am now and where I see a change and shift in me and how I am in my life right now. And you know, to each his own. I really believe that, you know, what is for you is for you. So I really feel like even if, you know, maybe someone dropped the ball on the first time or whatever, it wasn't the end all because that person was actually for them. So the pursuit didn't stop, you know, the attraction didn't stop, you know, what was for you did not stop. It's just, I think that we get so fixated and focused on, I'm sorry, Chels, I know you're about to say something, getting so fixated on order, you know, because we not what I'm seeing now is like there's a shifting in order and it should always be man, woman, children. And I see the order being shifted. Women are proposing to men in lieu of all of these other things of not waiting, like the desperation. It's like you've taken all of, and I'm not, if anybody has proposed to a man, please, you know, don't come at me in the comments because my opinion is still going to be my opinion. So we just going to be wasting your time. But I'm just saying that it kind of just, it shifts the order because if you're doing that, you really don't know if the man really truly loves you. Like he hasn't really made the sacrifice. You did everything and you're forcing him to make a decision in lieu of taking his choice away. And you're gonna always, I look at it as you're gonna always be wondering, like, you know, did he really love me or did I really force him to make a decision? That kind of thing. But anywho, what you got, Chels?
Man, I have a lot of thoughts going through my mind because when I think about a lot of the principles that are in the Bible in comparison to the society that we live in today, I see how those principles are good from a foundational standpoint, but they can be very difficult in applicability in the world that we live in now. And so I look at it more so from a practical standpoint. And I say, well, what is it that you If someone were to ask me, I'll say, well, what is it that you want? Right? Okay, you want a husband. Okay. I don't think I would suggest to a woman to propose to a man, right? But I do think I would suggest letting a guy know that you are interested in him. Because just like, I think there's blind men in the Bible, you have blind men today. And even from a metaphorical standpoint, they can't necessarily see. And then the more and more we go into time, we find out that men have emotions too, that men are shy.
How about that?
Right? That men fear rejection too. And that the same way we talk about in a negative light, we talk about women being in their masculine energy, men have a feminine energy. And so if you come across him at a time when he's shy or an introvert, he really is a match for you, but you're the one, and you get in this desire like, yo, I like him. So now you're in the masculine energy and he's in the feminine energy. And I'm not telling you to get down on your knee to propose to him, but you might want to go a step further than trying to get him to see you if you're trying to reach that one particular objective. You see what I'm saying? That's how I see it. Go ahead.
So even in his shyness, that takes away his observation?
It could, because if you think about the way in which your vision, not your sight, your vision, when you are in a state of shyness, right? If you think about a shy dog, he puts his tail between his legs and he puts his head down. He can't see everything, right? If you think about someone who's shy when they're publicly speaking, they're not looking at the crowd. They're trying to avoid eye contact, so they can't see what's going on. So if I'm in a shy state, because so I don't really like to be around a lot of people. I can see why people would watch this show and be like, dude's probably an extrovert. No, I'm an introvert. You put me in a room full of people I don't know, and I'm just going to sit there and I'm going to be quiet, right? And if I'm in a shy state, I'm not going to be able to see everything because I'm going to be saying my mind. God, I don't feel like being here. Man, I'm uncomfortable. And I'm going to have all these things happening at one time, which is going to blur my vision of the woman that I was supposed to or could have been seeing.
And I was going to say also, and, just the fact that we know that, and I do agree with you, Vic, on the order of things and how these days are definitely watering down the order of things, right? But what I will say is, because your future husband is also a child of God, it could be that initially he doesn't even know that there is potential for something to even be there. And if initially he knew, then he wouldn't have issue with taking around. Because for me, what it was about is I never really went at guys, not just because I didn't feel like I had to. It wasn't an ego thing. It was, well, I knew what kind of guy I wanted. And I meshed well with a very direct, assertive personality. So it's no way for you to not notice that I notice you. If you're a direct person and you're interested, then you're going to notice it. However, because I had already passed, our paths already crossed, my husband and I. And there was a time when there was a slight, I want to say, flirt towards me from him. And I was like, ew. I don't think that he would have known that I had then turned to looking at him like, ooh, okay. Without me saying, so look, about these scallops.
That's different. Like, I really feel like that's different because I'm looking at the comment that Julie made. I just want to adjust it real quick. So it's not me that's hiding intentionally. A lot of people are really not going to understand that biblically. When I say hiding, it's more so it's a spiritual thing. So I'm not going to get up here and I'm not going to go dive in deep. But when God hides you, He's hiding you on purpose because it's the man's job to find you. That is the man's duty to seek God in who he wants, to have an ear to God. So I can say what I want all day long, but it may not be what I need. So I could miss who is supposed to be for me because my eyes is looking towards what I want. My intentions or whatever it is looking for what I want, but God ultimately knows what I need. So I am going to continue to put him first until I hear from God. God always confirms everything. So I'm not going to get into too deep because you can't really explain everything to a T. But what I would say is that if a man asks me, like, if he asks if I'm interested, okay, and I'm like, oh yeah, I think you're, attractive, cute, whatever. I'm in a different space now to where I'm not so eager to play on my wants, even though I think I know what I want. But no, Julie.
Listen, she said under the covers.
Girl, no.
So hold on, I got a question.
I love some jewelry.
I got a question.
Go ahead, Chels.
So this is what I want. So let me ask you this: on an average day or average week, do you have guys who try and come up and holler at you?
No,
Why do you think that is?
because the Lord is hiding me.
Okay. Do you find yourself in places where men would? Because sometimes people work from home and they're not really out and about. Like, are you in the public other
I'm
than your
all.
car?
I'm not underneath my car. I'm always out in public. I'm everywhere. I'm
And
everywhere. What I do get chills. Go ahead, and I'll
go
let
ahead,
you.
go ahead. I think you're getting ready to answer what I was my next question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What I do get, I get men who compliment me while I'm out, and then they'll say, "Your husband is a very lucky man," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know he gonna be." I'm saying in my mind, I'm like, "I know he gonna be," but I was just like, "Oh, thank you." I don't say, you know.
Hold on, Vicky. Hold on, Vicky. I got a bone to pick with you now. I got a bone to pick.
Wait, I do say that I'm not. Okay, I do mention that I'm not. Is that what you're about to say?
I was just gonna say that. Okay, let's go with the ideology. Go with the traditional ideology that the man who findeth a wife findeth a good thing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and the guys who do approach you think that you're married. So that means that in the perception or the eyes of these men, you're already a wife. So,
You
so we,
are already a wife when
so
you're
we,
found.
okay, so we checking some good boxes here, right?
Yeah, we checking it off.
Okay, and then you end up telling them that you're not married. So a man who has eyes for a wife, has seen a wife, said something to the wife in a way that protects himself by saying, I know your husband, which he's really asking you, are you married? That's really asking, right?
Exactly.
And then you tell him that you're not married, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens after that?
Well, what usually happens after that, I'm laughing. He's probably laughing. He was just like, "Well, you just look like you are already taken," and I'm like, "Well, I don't know what gives you." I'm seeing if he's seeing with his natural eyes because a lot of men are like, you got a ring on. I'm like, where's the ring is on the ring finger. I don't have rings on my ring finger. So I used to wear rings all on my fingers, y'all, back in my heyday in my 20s.
Me too.
And I was just like, I wasn't getting those same type of responses, but it was kind of like they would ask sometimes. Now I get asked that all the time. I mean, people in my inbox, they ask me, "Are you married?" And I'm like, "Dang, ain't nobody asking am I single first."
Well,
Am I single?
you look like a wife, though. We were talking about this with Julie the other day. You look like a wife.
Right. And I understand that. And I said that is what I prayed God prayed to be. I prayed to be in the Proverbs 31. I prayed to be that type of woman to where I'm not a wife when I get married. I'm already a wife. So I'm living my life. We all have choices, right? I can be single out here doing whatever, but my first commitment in my love is to God. I made that already. And I'm noticing even now all day, every day that it's showing from the outside, from the inside out, it's showing that. So I'm never going to deflect it. I'm not going to say that I'm not a wife. I'm just not married.
Right.
So it doesn't necessarily, yeah. Go ahead, Chels.
I guess what I'm trying to figure out is we have the guys who has eyes for a wife. They see a wife. They find out that she's actually a wife, just not
Mm-hmm.
somebody's wife.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm just I'm
right?
just not their wife.
Right. So why aren't you in the process of becoming one of these guys' wife?
Because, like I said earlier, is because, and I don't want to get too deep spiritually on down in here, but I know because of what has been given to me, I know that the one that God has for me will see me, and he will know because he will have an ear to God. Even I can tell y'all, I've been proposed to. I've said yes. Okay. I have been proposed to by those who have certain titles in church. I was told that you are my wife. No, they were told that I was a wife. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm your wife. I'm specifically for you because the way that, we go in this world thinking that just because I'm available, I'm accessible to you. Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm for you.
Very different.
I could
You're
be,
right.
it's very different. So in lieu of that, I can tell you it's a long list of people, of guys just saying, oh, you married? I'm like, oh, no, I'm not. Oh, okay. And they will walk away. And I'm like, well, hey, you didn't even give me a chance to say that, having no conversation, because I look at that as God still hiding me. You see what I'm saying? Like, if the opportunity presented itself, it will happen. Like, it's nothing that I will do because I believe ultimately what is for me will be for me. The problem that I see a lot of people doing is that they're looking in the wrong hiding place. Like, you have so many men out here and they're looking, then again, frustrated with the fact that they haven't found the one for them because they're looking in the wrong hiding place. Their ear is to the world instead of to God. That's just how I feel. And so,
Go
in
ahead.
lieu of that, you have so many different people just shifting emotionally and just like, oh, this is not going to work out, blah, blah. And it's like, well, what are you really looking for? Are you really looking for a person, or are you looking for your purposeful mate? Like, God places us together not based upon how we look to each other, but he places us together for that his purpose will be manifested. That we are purposely designed so that he will get the glory and whatever the assignment that he has over our lives, so that I can be placed with this pastor, which, I've been proposed by a pastor. Doesn't necessarily mean that the pastor's vision, the one that proposed to me, is that I'm going to follow through with it. If it's not aligned with what God has for me, it's not going to work. Now, this is not for everybody, but I have been through y'all, when I can just share stories beyond stories what has happened to me, thinking that this is the end all for me because I've been proposed to. My mom told me, if a man proposes, that's the one. But she missed some things because of what she was raised and what she was taught. But when I took time to really develop a personal relationship with God, he began to show me how it's supposed to go and what was aligned for me. Not for just what was aligned for me is not necessarily aligned for anybody else. Because our focus and our assignments are different. But are you taking that time to really to see it through? Are you taking that time to cultivate it? Are you taking that time to spend with God so that you know which direction to take, so you know which way to choose? Because everything that looks like something great is not really good.
Well, you know what I can appreciate about you, Vicky, is what you just said something that was so impactful. You just said everybody's assignment is going to be for them, and it's not going to be the same assignment, which really does offer comfort to those who may be on the opposite side of it. They're saying, well, you know what, I'm ready for love, and I just want to get the gumption to get out there and go. You're not saying because this is the trust that I'm putting in my Heavenly Father, that this means this is what all of you are supposed to be doing. You're saying this is the path that I
For
have
me.
trusted him to put me on and keep me on.
Right.
And I get that. I received that from you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I have a question, Vicky. So if you have the guys who are coming to you, whether in person or in the inbox, what is it that's going to occur for you to know that he's the one that God has sent for you? How do you know?
I hear from God. I have a personal relationship with God. So if he tells me a man is not in his will, I'm going to take heed because that has happened to me way too many times.
Okay. So that
Yeah.
question it, because I'm just trying to figure out, like, in my
It's
mind,
not, yeah, in your mind, and I'm mind, yeah,
right?
it
Well,
just don't.
I can, because I'm just hearing it from third person, right? So in my
Mm.
mind, I'm following it step by step, and I'm just trying to figure out, like, okay, what's the reason that none of these guys fit the bill? And the
Mm.
answer that you're giving me is because God itself hasn't told me that any of these guys are the one.
Yeah, because I was just engaged 2 years ago, and it's so crazy to me that people are like, they forgot. I posted and everything. They literally forgot. And I know because even in the midst of me getting ready, like I was planning, getting everything done. And I
Mm,
kept saying, like, Lord, there was an uneasiness in the situation, even
mm.
though the person wasn't really a bad guy. He wasn't a bad guy.
Just wasn't
And
for you.
he wasn't for me. And I was just like, there was so many instances I've seen women and men tell these stories that, they thought what they thought was, the one. And it took God to actually step in. When God steps in, because you're seeking God, right? That it's a different level of attention when if you're love bombing and you're just that person just all just this is amazing, this is great. And you never take the time to stop and be like, Lord, is this really for me? Is this your will? Does this align up with you? Because it fits my bill because he proposed. He is, a provider. It fits everything, but it doesn't align with what God has for me to do and for what he had orchestrated my other half to do. So in lieu of that, it's like, well, okay, I can go down this path, but guess what? It's not going to be peace because God doesn't agree. And that is what has happened so many times in my life. And even though I was forcing it, I can't tell you how many times when I gave the ring back. Jesus. Even though I was forcing, I'm like, this gotta work. Jesus, you sure? And in visions, in prayer, this is not my will, through other people who knew nothing about what I have already said. Like they didn't even know that I was still seeking God for an answer. And the Lord kept saying, and then boom, after I stepped out on faith and was obedient, then everything, the Lord started revealing to me why. He started showing me different inadequacies that was going to take me off course of the path that he had me on. And so instead of me putting my focus all the way on God, I was going to put my focus on this man because I'm trying to prove
Mm,
myself to this man who was already broken, who was not healed,
mm,
even within myself, like trying to figure out this and trying to have, my peace and trying to keep focus over here. And I got to, go here and do this, that, and other. And then he is, asking me. And now I'm getting broken in certain areas that I was once healed in. It's just a lot, y'all. It's a lot. But when let me just tell you, and you don't have to question it. You only question it when you're unsure. And what are you doing in your uncertainty? Are you seeking God? Or are you still focused on the fact that you just want a family? Are you still
mm.
focused on the fact that you just want to be married? So you'll marry anybody that would say yes. And that person don't even match up to what you want.
Yep. This is why when he had a discussion about whether or not when you had the topic about being toxic and whether or not you're toxic or not and how to do. And I was like, I know that I've been there. Like I'm in a place. See, people think when you can talk about where you were that you're not speaking light into yourself. You're not speaking healing onto yourself. And I disagree. I think in order to properly heal, you have to acknowledge what it was that you done, your transgressions against others and against yourself. So like I say that I was toxic because that's what I was. I literally was supposed to get married November 9th and called off my wedding in June and literally and forfeited a lot of things that was already offered to me in the promise of having a new home, in the promise of being with this person who I had a physical connection with, but really knew that I just loved on a way that I would love a girlfriend, not a forever, this is my partner, I know it and I feel it in my core type of love. That wasn't fair to him. That wasn't fair to me. It wouldn't have been fair to my children. You know what I mean? So I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. And I too chose to wait on what was in store for me, and wait and trust that I was going to get what I was supposed to get, but also not before doing the work on me that needed to be done.
Right. And I just want to say this. I know Chuz got to go, but I just want to say this. And even in me thinking that I was ready to be married, I wasn't. God knew I wasn't ready because there were still things in me that still need to be healed that I wasn't even addressing at that time. So yes, I'm in my third, about to go to my 40s, Jesus. But it's because I had to go through a healing process, and in lieu of that, that was the beauty in me actually getting to a place of now of contentment, of realizing, look, Lord, what I trust whatever you have planned for me, but I'm not going to be in denial anymore of knowing that I put the blame on this person in this relationship and thinking that I didn't do nothing. I attributed to a lot of things because I wasn't healed. And I got to a place where when I was able to be honest and release, that's why I like what you had posted earlier today. Was that earlier today, Charles? I can't remember. When you have to be honest about, and not being a victim to everything, like, because everybody want to paint this picture as though they ain't did nothing. And you got to really be honest with yourself. You did some things. But um, I realized that the Lord was, he's preparing something in me, and it's more so it takes time. And so what this person was able to do, get married at this age and this, that, and other, works for them. Everybody's timeline is different. And we up here trying to
Absolutely.
rush, I want to be like, no, sometimes you do have to wait. You may not know, but you got to seek God first in everything that he has, and everything else will come unto you. But if you out here blindfolded, like you said, Charlie, you blindfolded, you're just going based on how you feel. And I'm talking about emotions too,
Mm-hmm.
not spiritually, but it's a lot, but that's where I am today. So yes, I do get those, questions, ask me this and another, but I really feel in my heart that what is for me will be for me because I'm seeking God and I get the answers that I need. They don't come automatically. It doesn't go like, Lord, he's not the will. And sometimes I have to go through because sometimes I do jump the gun and I make decisions out of like without consulting him. And sometimes I have to deal with the repercussions or the consequences so that I know, stop, Sheree, stay in your place, stay in your lane. Because I have something that I have to do. God has given me an assignment to do. And if I move prematurely, I could literally abort that just
Mm.
for a temporary feel of something that I'm truly desiring. I am desiring marriage, but that's not my focus. Like that's not like my focus. My focus is the assignment that God has for me. And I ultimately believe that if I put God first, everything else, as the word says, will be added unto me. And that's all of my desires.
Well, I
So
know those
yeah.
men. I know those men out there upset that you're not gonna be the one making the first move. That's what we was we was talking
Oh,
about, the making the first move. They mad Vicky ain't gonna be making the first move.
Wait. If I get, that's different though. If I'm in a relationship with someone, that's different. Like I do make little subtle little, so you don't know, but
yeah. So I was gonna ask. So once you're in a relationship, are you more like your old self?
no, that old stuff done died. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But I'm just saying, I'm saying that I am a, I touch, I'm a touchy feely. I know that for a fact. Like I'm a touchy feely type person. I don't do that to everybody, but I know that I will let the man know that, even either in what I'm saying or if I'm touching him, not saying like groping him, don't want nobody to be extra. I'm not doing that. Okay.
They said, "Wait a
But,
minute, this took a turn."
but you,
Look at y'all's face.
because you gotta be careful because people be like, oh, she said she was her, but she talking about the Lord, but what's she talking about? I'm not trying to
Uh-huh.
confuse nobody up here. I'm just saying that, I am like, I like to hold hands, I like to touch the shoulder, hug, but I'm just saying like I don't have a problem with, just showing my affection in a way if I'm in a relationship. So, and I'm not gonna like, oh, is he gonna make the first move? I feel like if it's meant to be, if it happens, and it's all aligned, it don't matter who. It don't matter who.
Chills, do you think that if a man starts off making the initiative, taking the initiative, and making the first move, that he then sets the precedence for what he has to do the duration of the relationship?
I mean, to a degree, but I think all relationships are reciprocal. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think we have to. I think it's beneficial for women to understand that men have attention placed on them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and even from traditionally and just the way things operate in society, um, it's typically a man's responsibility to make the first move, right? And then it's the woman's option to reciprocate that or put a block on that, right?
About it, yeah.
Right?
Hmm.
And that's at the beginning. But as we get into our relationships or friendships or whatever the case may be, it's going to be beneficial for that woman to initiate certain things towards him too, because men have a desire to be loved, on, to be complimented, and to be desired too. I just think that before there's a relationship, it's more reasonable for the guy to initiate. And once you're in the relationship, it's about what would be best in this particular moment, right? Because if I always have to initiate intimacy with my wife, I'm going to be under the assumption that she may not really be that into me.
Exactly.
Problem. But if my wife initiates it enough for me to know, like, oh, she's really into me, then now we have this reciprocal thing going on, right? And so, I just think it's important that you know your partner and you understand the things that they kind of need and want,
Mm-hmm.
make them feel good. Like, I'm supposed to make my wife feel like a wife, and she's supposed to make me feel like a husband. Now, I also think communication is very important because different people show those things in different ways, right?
Mm.
Like, it could still be my principal responsibility to say to my wife, I want to take you out to eat, right? My wife could reciprocate that on the day when we don't go out to eat by simply going downstairs and cooking dinner, right? So you can still stay in your traditional lane and still do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of understanding that everybody wants to have attention placed upon them in some way, shape, or fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I think but I think what happening is, to Vicky's point, I think we've reached this point where in the dating world things have shifted, and I think that women are like, okay, I want to be married. There's 8 of me, there's 1 of him, and if I want to get him, I'm gonna have to go dig through the dirt to get the diamond, right? Because what's happened is the guys are the guys. It used to be like the woman was the prize. That's
Right.
We are still.
not the case anymore in society, right? And I don't know if it's just the sheer numbers or we've been convinced that women should do what men do too much or whatever. But now a lot of women are like, man, I don't really want to go hunt for a man, but if I'm gonna get one, that seems like that's what I'm gonna have to do. And I don't really know how to approach that, really, other than to look at it and say, well, if that's what you want, then you might have to go get it if that's what you're going to get.
I think it is the number, Shells. I really think it is. I had this discussion with a girlfriend of mine. We were talking about what it looks like being single right now. Both her and I both went through like really long relationships ending at the same time. Everything we went through, we kind of went through simultaneous. And I think right now she's like going to be heading back out into the dating pool. And she's just like, friend, like the pickings, to say they're slim is an understatement. Like, I think when you think about the age bracket, like the difference, like, okay, so I am 41 years old. My girlfriend is about 5 years older than me. So if you're looking at men in that age group, that specific age group, they have been in long-term relationships for some time. Or you have ones that are like really nothing against the sick, because I told you I got some things going on with me physically. Or they have things that's going on with them that prevent them from really being able to be like in the newness of a relationship and start something going. Or they have other hangups or other things that they need to be obligated to give time and energy to. So either way, the pickings is slim. And then for the women that are younger, it's like you got the beautiful men that just don't happen to like women. You got the ones that are incarcerated. You got the ones that are married or in long-term relationships heading towards marriage, and either way, they ain't looking at you. You know, so yeah, the pickings. I mean, so when you think about it from that avenue, you gotta respect the Vickies of the world that say, "Listen, this is my strategy. I'm gonna put God first because I'm not getting out here with you heifers. I'm gonna let him. I'm gonna let him send me who he got for me because I ain't got time to be clawing to the top just to get a man."
Mm,
That's true, man. It's
yeah.
true.
See, I can see both sides. I can see why one would wait and be like, I'm gonna be found. I can see why somebody would be, yo, I'm about to just go out there and roll the dice. I can see
Okay.
That's true. Like I can see both ends. I'm not gonna sit up here and say that my way is the, I literally
Yeah.
see things on different perspectives because everybody's levels of attention and desires are different. Their hunger for things are different. And you just have to I accept it. What I mean? I'm not gonna sit up here and tell people, oh, this is the way, even though, what I'm saying, like if this is your focus, you see the focus and then you get mad at yourself because your focus chose wrong, or your focus gave you something that you wasn't really prepared for, or even in you're going and trying to do what you want to do, you could be missing out on the needs of the needs of you, the needs that you're not even knowing that are even there. Like we don't even know the thoughts and things are in our own hearts at times. But I understand, a woman that's saying, look, girl, you can do you can go ahead and wait on the Lord. But I
I'm
sit
going out
here
here.
and I'm gonna do what I gotta do. Some women are fine with the competition. Like I'm competing. This man got like five women already. Just and this one, like I'm about to step up to the plate. I'm about to do this, that, and other. If that's you, that's you.
mm,
I'm not gonna judge anybody. I can't judge. I can't judge anybody because I don't know what it is for you. Like how is
What you're
I
supposed
can
to do.
right.
right.
I can only. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think too. I think a lot of women have the idea that you have. It's just that I don't think they're waiting on the voice of God. You are right. So I think that because I think it's in most women's nature to say, I'm gonna let a guy approach me, right? And that's essentially what it is. He who finds the wife, right? And I think that the way most women see it is, if all of these guys approach me, the one that I just naturally am pulled to is the one that I'm probably going to give the attention to. And it's not that different than what you're saying. You're expecting a higher level of transmission from the divine than what they are, right? You're looking for a more definitive yes than they are.
Yeah, and what I do want to say too, just as much as you are noticing a lot of, men and women, just as I'm talking to everybody, just as much as and you think you know what you want, you have this vision in your head, you have this image in your head. Just know God knows what's best, and also know that the enemy will send you a decoy that it's going to seem like that person is the best of the best in the beginning. But you always hear people say, well, you're not the same person that I met. Just understand that the enemy can be a form of light. He can be a form, but he can't keep that form because, in all honesty, he is a wolf in sheep clothing. That's what that is. So we can see all day long with our natural eyes, but until you actually do the work, because they say faith without works is dead, you can be like, oh, I'm waiting for God to send me a man, but you still sitting at home, you ain't read your Bible, you ain't been on your word, you ain't been saying nothing to the Lord, but you've been going out and doing all this other, but you saying that you waiting, but what you doing in your waiting? Nothing, right? So it takes you to actually do work, build your relationship, build some substance. You got to be more than a beautiful face and hair and all this other great things. Even for a man, you got to be more than just looks on the outside. What's your substance? What's going to last beyond looks? Because looks fade. We all getting older. I'll be 40 next year. Lord Jesus, I desire, but I don't know when that time gonna come. But I'm not gonna put
Victor,
all my focus in it, like,
I got a question for the both of y'all. Do y'all think that since both of y'all are saying that you agree, we pretty much agree, and just we coming at it from we can see where other people are coming from, but we pretty much agree.
right.
Do you think that if you do trust, do you believe that God is sending you one specific person? Meaning, do you believe your Creator only has only one person in mind for you?
Me personally, I do believe that, because when Eve messed up, he didn't take Eve away and make Bertha. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I really feel like when you take your time and really seek God for the divine, he created you. He created women out of the rib of the man, right? So I really truly believe that there's one. That's why a lot of people who go into marriage and they've been married for so long, they can't see themselves with anybody else, right? Because they've been with this person for so long. Not to say that the Lord can't, if something was to happen, the Lord won't realign you. But I don't think that we purpose for everybody. I just
No,
don't
I don't think
believe
we
that.
purpose for everybody, but I don't. And I'm a married woman, and I could say this. Me and my husband had this conversation a couple times. We had it when we was dating, and we've had to have it while we were married because he disagrees with me. I don't believe that people are just destined, like it's just one specific person on this earth that you were meant to be with. I think that any logical, rational mind who is emotionally and mentally healthy and hold themselves accountable for their own actions can be compatible with more than just one person that walked the face of this earth. So if anything were to happen to me, I'm not saying that, listen, I may be the best one that John ever had, but I'm not going to be the only woman that John is capable of linking up with. You know what I'm saying?
But that's the difference. You just answered your own question. When I say purpose for one person, when you're choosing one, there is no other. It won't be just it won't be duplicated. It can't be duplicated. There's just one of you, right? So when you look at it in the sense of you being the one and only, there is feedback, and I feel like other people are talking while I'm talking, and it's really weird. Do anybody else hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
What is that?
I don't know.
Is that you, Nikki? Hey, Nikki, mute your mic right now.
Oh,
Yeah, I've been hearing it for a while. Yeah.
I wasn't
You got
sure.
your TV on? Oh, I don't know. But go ahead, Vicky.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've been hearing it the whole time. I thought you was somewhere, and it was like, you know how you pull up at a drive-thru and they have you park.
The intercom.
They got a little speaker, and it's like order number 19, order number 19. So I'm just gonna let it rock.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to say something. But yeah, when I say that, I just feel like there was ultimately one person for you. And I think that one choice, because not everybody don't get that chance to actually be with the person that's actually meant for them, because everybody chooses differently, right? If you're choosing based upon looks, you're not going to actually meet the person that was destined and purposeful for you, because that is a deep rooted spiritual connection. It goes beyond what it looks like on the outside. So many people go throughout life not really getting connected, because you can be passing the person that is actually supposed to be for you based upon what you think that you want and like, because it's appealing to the outside. But when you actually are seeking God, you have an ear to hear what the Spirit is saying, then you're able to actually go. There's a lot of us, I mean, I know for personal, what I've been through, I was picking guys based upon how they look. And for me, it didn't work out well. Okay? Didn't work out. No. I was missing a whole lot of other factors, beyond that. And I thank God for, helping me to get out of, the way someone looks. But a lot of times that's what happens. You're looking for this. You're looking, the women are like bank account, how much money does he make, blah, blah. But I really ultimately just believe that what is for you is for you, but you got to be in tune to receive. You can't quote the Bible and the scriptures, and your life, you ain't following nothing. You ain't doing nothing, but you saying it because it sound good.
So this is what I think. This is what I think. Hey, Nikki, mute your mic. They handing the curry out food out. This, this is kind of the way I see it. I look at the way nature works, and I think when I think of God as something that is always renewing itself and renewing everything that is. If God is everything, it's always renewing itself, right? So in my mind, I think that even if you miss one tangent of, say, your life path, God just it's just natural for there to be more to come. It's like our lives are everything from this moment forward is an infinite possibility based on the choices that we make, right? So let's say that I'm supposed to be with a particular person, right? And then for whatever reason, I'm blind, or I can't see that this person is for me, right? Once that um, life path is no longer present, I think God automatically creates a whole nother life path, right? Like if we go and cut a bunch of trees down, right, and do nothing, we don't build houses on it, we don't do anything. We go cut those trees down. You know what's going to happen? Nature itself is going to replace those trees with some other trees or some other bushes and something like that. So I think that while it may be directing you towards a particular path, if you don't follow that path, it's just going to give you another path. And if you think about it, it's like that with almost everything. If you have your heart set on a particular job and you don't get that job, what ends up happening? You find another job, right? If you have your heart set on one person and you don't get that person, you end up getting another person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the mind of God in its totality. I only know it to the degree that my receptor can understand it. So I don't know if all the possibilities exist and our choices dictate what we see, or if the one possibility exists, and when we mess that up in God's time, which is nothing and everything all at one time, in an instant, a whole new set of possibilities exist. You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I see it, and that's kind of complex and metaphysical, but that's how my mind, my receptor receives it. Somebody wants to come in the room.
I understand that part, but I also believe that disobedience, like, you know, we could be led and everything, but if we're not obedient when when we're not led and we're not allowing ourselves to pay attention to what we're led to, yes, I believe, yeah, you'll miss out, because you are ultimately, if God is trying to pull you away from a certain person and you're choosing not to leave, but complaining at the same time you're going through chaos, and God is trying to lead you to who he wants you to be with, you are now what? Going against what the choice was from God, right? You're being disobedient to his choice because of what you ultimately want, even though that things renew itself. Okay, then guess what? You have to, if that doesn't work out or whatever the case may be, then you have to go through another path of what? Waiting,
Yeah.
going through some healing and consequences. And yeah, then he would probably direct you, you know, to someone else. But I ultimately don't believe that you know, I look at it like, you know, oh, I'm not for everybody, right? I'm not for everybody. But there are certain people, I do definitely believe that, you know, there's an opportunity for God to direct and place me with who he desires for my life. Now, I don't know if I met that person or not, and I may have missed out because I was going after what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And now,
Uh-oh.
because I got to charge my phone. But so I'm not saying that it's a one-all fit all. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that if you have not met the one, and you know, you don't really know, you won't really know unless you're seeking seeking God and you're actually seeking to hear what he has to say over your life. Because I ultimately believe if, you know, you're in a relationship, you're married, something happens, God may bless you with somebody else. So it doesn't necessarily mean, I'm not believing that it's like one all fit all, but I just believe that if you allow the Lord to lead you, in my mind, I'm going to enjoy this path because tomorrow is not promised, right? So I'm not looking to be like, this is not going to work out. Lord, you're going to send me somebody else. My mind is not focused on, you know,
Lord, I need options. No, I'm not saying that, okay? Now
but
you know I read the comment of what Lil said, and I know now what you were meaning, because she said that, and that's probably why the Lord allowed you and John to cross paths on 3 different times. He was like, "Hello,
mm-hmm,
this one here."
All
there
right,
you
hey,
go.
Tyrell, what you got before we slide off, man? I gotta get ready to go to work.
So my thing, when it comes down to uh, God being able to redirect our path, my personal belief is that God already knows our beginning and our end. So everything that's in the middle and in between, he's already aware of. So it's not that God would create a new path for us. It's that path was already there because God knew the instant when we would need it. So like, okay, I'm due to get married. I plan on being with my wife for the rest of my life. Like that's my current vision is that I die with that woman. If she is to go before me in some horrific accident 5 years into our marriage, okay, God, you knew this was gonna happen. You didn't show it to me because all I would do is panic on my way to that moment. But you knew that I would take this space of rest, and then next thing you know, I'll be in another relationship, or maybe I might just be one of those guys who are single for the rest of my life. I don't know. But whatever that path is, I believe that that's already orchestrated. And so we just walk in the path of what we're giving because that path keeps us in a space. Because I would never thought that I would have been a 27-year-old realtor. Like, when I got out of high school, I thought I was going to be a chef. I thought I would be working in a restaurant for my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly the plan that happened. One thing led to another. I couldn't get into the college that I wanted to go into for culinary art. I couldn't afford the other ones, and so next thing I know, I'm in corporate America. I did very well for myself. Got tired of corporate America. Went back into the restaurant industry to go into real estate, where I thrive and I'm happy. That was the course and path that was ordained for me, and that's what I believe we all just kind of have to realize is your path is what your path is going to be. My sister said one thing to me that changed my thinking. She said the moment that you recognize that your normal is your normal and no one else's is the day that you'll begin to enjoy your life.
Yeah, I look at it and I think more like I think I put more responsibility on us. You know what I'm saying? Because I guess when I think about free will and whether or not we truly have free will, I'm never completely sold one way or the other. But it makes me say, okay, well, if we don't have any control over any of this, none of it, like we're all just non-autonomous, then it doesn't matter what we do, right? And then I look at how much energy we put into changing society and changing the ills of society. But if none of us have free will, then the ills of society are God's will, right? And I can't completely sit with the idea of some of the atrocities of the past just simply being because that's the way God wanted it to be. That doesn't sit right in my inner being.
And I completely agree with you. the way I see it is like the easiest way that I can kind of put it is there every decision you have a fork in the road, a left and a right, or you have back to where you were. And I think the reason why things happen the way that they happen is because we have free will. And there's many instances in many researches and many theological writings and everything. There's a whole bunch of stuff that says it, where is we have the ability to choose. Going back to Adam and Eve, Eve had the ability to not eat the fruit. If we're going to use that, Adam had the ability not to eat the fruit that Eve gave him, and Cain had the ability not to kill his brother. Like David had the ability not to sleep with Bathsheba. Like we can go on and on and on and on, and there would have been different outcomes in these same scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't believe that it is that we do not have free will. I believe that we do have a choice, but I believe that God is so infinite that he has a path to no matter what choice we choose to make. Because I also believe that God is so gracious that he's just like, well, these are the choices that you have. I'm going to give you a left and a right. I'm going to give you an up and a down. I'm going to give you a back and a forth. You make what decision you want to make. I'm here to support you. I may not agree with you, but I will support you, and I'll always be here for when you need me to be here. Because I can attest to that for myself.
You see, that's hold on real quick. So, but what you're saying now isn't any different than what I was saying about there being an infinite amount of possibilities, right? Like
I didn't hear that part. I wasn't on to that part.
Yeah. So, and I think like you're calling it like we have like we're walking this path, and then there's a fork, and then we make a choice, and then a fork in the road, right? And then whichever fork we choose, whichever we choose left, we choose right. That's what we're going to experience on that particular path, right? What I'm saying is I don't know if there are an infinite amount of forks and we're constantly choosing different forks in the road that lead down to whatever the end is, or if there is just one solid thing at first, and God being a living entity, it naturally creates forks as we choose, as we make our choices, right? You understand what I'm saying? Like,
I think I'm in line with that way of thinking.
huh?
I think I'm more in line with the latter way of thinking, because I think that any action is going to provoke a reaction. So whatever your decision is going to be a change in the path that goes along with that decision. So wouldn't it be infinite?
So I want to say something.
You know what I mean?
So the free will is basically us having the opportunity to make the choice. That we're not being forced to make the choice. He's given us the opportunity to make the choice. And even in him knowing, God knows that we're going to make mistakes. He already knows what we're going to do before we even think about it, way before we're going to do it. But in that, it sometimes it will create more struggles, more consequences, a longer path, a longer time to get to the path that is destined for you. Or ultimately, if it's leading you down the pathway of destruction, he may go ahead and just, take you to save your soul so that you will not no longer destroy yourself. Because ultimately, the choices that we make is to help us to give him the glory, to get to the greater purpose that what he placed inside of us, so that the thing that he birthed inside of us will come into manifestation. But if we continue to be disobedient in the choices that we make, we may never ever get to that path, because he will ultimately have the final decision. He's given us his grace and his mercy to allow us to be freely to choose, same thing as free will. But and ultimately it directs, we're all saying the same thing, but the paths that are for us, there's multiple paths. But to say that no matter what we do, we're going to get to there, that's not always true, because sometimes we can make and break God's heart, because we want to say that God's always loving, but there's also another side of the Lord too. There's a wrath of God. So you can be so far disobedient in the choices that you choose to make, because ultimately you are not your own. Okay. So if he's seeing something that is going to destroy you, then ultimately you may not even make it to the path that was destined for you. We are all replaceable.
Well, but okay, so but if God has a place that's destined for me, then and I don't make it there, and God has control over all of this, then isn't it God's will that I didn't make it there?
No, not
No,
necessarily. So
his will is that we do not perish. His will is he desires for us to live all unto the glory of him. But if we are in our own minds and not living in the spirit, if we're always in the flesh and we're living, thinking limited thinking, because God's thinking is infinite, it's beyond what we can even overanalyze or even overthink. He wants the best for us, but for us to say that is it his will for me to not know, his will is for that you live forever, that you will come into gain in eternity. But if you choose to live according to the choices that you make without seeking God, you have now limited you. And that's what happens. But people want to make the choices that they want to make, and then ultimately when it happens, they put the focus, the onus back on God. That's not how it works.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't.
because to go back to to kind of piggyback off of that, we like that's a study that I'm not gonna get into. But there's one part in the Bible where it says where Adam and Eve was put into the garden, and they were supposed to reside there for eternity. They were that was God's plan, was for them to reside there in eternity. There came a choice where Eve was manipulated, or whatever you want to say, by the serpent. She consumes, and when she consumes, now she gives it to Adam. Adam consumes, and then now there's the betrayal of the garden. And now God has a choice on what to do, because God could have killed Adam and Eve right then on the spot and started all over again. It's no different to him. But instead, he's like, okay, well, now, Adam, you got to till the ground. Eve, now you have to bear sorrow, and now you have to bear children. And so this is now your course of action, because you disobeyed what I initially had ordained for you. All that to say, if you go back to what Chell said, yes, when something else happens off of God's initial plan for us, because his initial plan is that we were to never sin. His initial plan is for us to love each other and to be peaceful and to do whatever. But of course, things happen. People made whatever choices. They varied off on whatever things, and God had to redirect. Hence the reason why, and people are going to give me smoke for this, this is why Jesus had to come in later on. Because Jesus had to come in to fix what Adam messed up.
Mm-hmm.
I know you can vote for that. That's the
It's a,
truth.
it's
Like,
the truth.
like when you go back to it, it's just like Jesus came into play. If Adam didn't mess up, Jesus wouldn't have had to come into play. But because Adam messed up, Jesus had to come into play.
Mm-hmm.
And because people still don't want to get right, the rapture still has to come.
Yeah.
So it's like there's still a paradigm that is still going. So it's fair to say that yes, every action has an opposite and equal reaction. No matter what decision we make, we have the free will to do it. But in that free will, whatever we decide to do, whatever happens, something else is going to segment off of it. I can choose to be faithful. I could choose to be faithful to my wife. If I choose not to be faithful to my wife has the choice to leave me.
Okay, is God all knowing?
I believe so.
So
I speak for
Yes.
myself when
He's all
when
knowing.
I mean,
I speak for myself because I never challenge what someone else believes. I believe that God is all knowing. He is all powerful. He is able to do the impossible above that we can ever ask or think.
okay, so I guess my question would then be, if God is all knowing and these events and our choices occur, shouldn't God know what our choices are ahead of time? Like, shouldn't God have known that Eve would be tempted by the serpent and eat the apple, and that Adam would fall too, and then have to toil the ground, and that Cain would kill Abel, and that the other lady would turn into a pillar of salt? Wouldn't he have known all of these things would occur anyway?
Yeah, if the choices were made,
Okay, does
God
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 does,
knew God
hey,
knew that these things would happen, but God's will is still God's will. God's will never changes. People's action causes God to respond differently.
But I guess, and we can't do this all night. We're gonna have to make this a whole night. I guess what I'm trying to wrap my mind around is, to me, when I think of, I think I more so lean towards God being something that is always evolving and always manifesting. That's why when you look out into space, the universe is always, there's always new things happening. They say that the space-time continuum is actually expanding, right? So I'm not completely sold on the idea that everything that I guess I would say I'm not completely sold on the idea that God's will or that God is, that everything is just already done. I think it's more creative, and I think it's more exploratory of its own self through all living things. That's kind of how I see it, because in my mind, if it's your will, you're all knowing, you're all powerful, you're all present, then everything that happens is your will, right? You created this thing, right? It exists because of you, right? That means that everything down to our choices come forth from you, because you're all that is. If you're everywhere, there's nowhere you can't be. So that just makes me, and I don't have a solid answer. I'm just saying I think that there's more, for lack of a better term, unmanifest that comes into manifestation than the idea of God just knows everything that's gonna happen. Because if God knows everything's gonna happen, then why should we do anything? Why wouldn't we just wait it out and see what happens?
Because
Well, a
you
lot of,
can't.
look,
Go ahead.
that's why God has given us choices. God could have done anything that he wanted to. He could have been like, you don't have a choice. But because of his love is unexplainable, he chooses to give us that option to make the choices. God's will doesn't change based upon our choices. It's going to be the same. That doesn't necessarily mean that wherever you're led to is God's will because of your choice. He's giving you the choice to follow his will. But if you don't follow his will, there's consequences. So that doesn't
He chooses
necessarily
just to
mean
love you in
But
spite of.
that's the mercy.
but if he's all knowing, wouldn't he know what the choices that I'm already going to make?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you're right. He's going to know exactly what we do, but that does not change the will for that he has over our lives. That's like saying, I'm going to, if
Can
I
I
make, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just, an analogy just kind of came into my mind. When you give a child a coloring book, you give a child a coloring book for them to color inside the lines. They choose either from them not understanding the concept of coloring inside the lines, or just choosing to color outside the lines to therefore color outside the lines. So if you take that same analogy, you can pretty much put that as God had an idea of what he wanted to happen, already orchestrated, already completed. All we had to do was pretty much color it in and complete it. And God gave us that assignment, our life. And because of our choices, us knowing, unknowing, wisdom, lack of wisdom, anything of that nature, I don't know where that sound is coming from.
Hey, Vicky, mute your mic.
Is it mine?
Nah, I think. Maybe not. Go ahead, Tyrell.
Yeah. Hello? Okay, there it goes. So God gives us that, and because of either our experience, our lack of experience, our knowledge base, we choose to color it in the way we choose to. And as we color and complete it, that is our life cycle. So therefore, if we choose to color outside the lines, that's on us. We know, either we know better or we don't. So
go ahead.
So in that essence is God already had everything already orchestrated for us. He had an idea of what he wanted for us, which is his will for us. And we did what we wanted to once he gave us that sheet of paper. And we decided to color it outside the lines, upside down. Pink that was supposed to be purple, blue that was supposed to be yellow.
But okay.
We made those choices.
But I guess my pushback is this. The difference is that when you give a child a coloring book, I have absolutely no idea or control, and I'm not the thing that's maintaining the life of the child or the coloring book. There's an unmanifest that occurs. I've given my child a coloring book, and now they are to do with this coloring book what they want. It's my desire for them to color inside the lines, right? But they can go and do what they want. Now, I don't know what's going to happen, right? But what I'm saying is, if I am all-knowing, I already know how this child is going to color in this coloring book, right? So if I know how this child is going to color in the coloring book, and I'm the one who sustains the child and the coloring book and the crayons, and I'm the one who manifested all of that into existence, then whatever happens on that coloring book can, at the end of it, can be attributed back to me, because the child didn't always exist. The coloring book didn't always exist. The crayons didn't always exist. I am the one who existed. If I'm speaking as the one, right? If I am playing, if we're doing a metaphorical
analogy
of me being God, I knew all of these things, and that's what it says. I knew you before you were you, or however it goes. Then whatever happens in that coloring book, I knew that was going to happen before I created it. Right?
Correct.
Right.
So that being the case, I would make the argument that if we're going on the premise that God is all-knowing, then the choices that we make, they're not mistakes, right? The hardships that we go through, they were pre-written. We were going to go through them regardless. The choices themselves, I guess what I'm saying is that if God is all-knowing and we didn't always exist, and it brought everything and all events into being, then the choices that we make, we're making those choices because that's what you wrote for the choices to be.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man. What you got?
So that would be great if we were all in the spirit. But we are also working up against the enemy, who also, if Eve was obedient and if she was paying attention, she would not have made the choice that she made. She yielded to another entity, the enemy. So although God knows our choices, he may know he knows what we're thinking before we even think it. That's what the word says. The word of God says he knows. He's all-knowing. God is not going to go against what he said. I go by what the word of God says. If he is all-knowing, right, that means he knows everything. He is looking here, there, everywhere. He is all-knowing. God knows what's in our heart. We don't even know what's in our heart. We don't even know. We can kind of think it, but there's a limitation to the human mind because the human mind is in flesh. Spirit, when we're connecting with God, it's the same type of spirit that we're allowing ourselves to get on one accord with, right? So if we're making these choices, yes, God's going to know what choices we make, but ultimately if we're yielding to his spirit, to him, his yes, and to his no, we will go into the pathway of the will that he has over our lives. But we're also living in flesh. So whatever we're feeding more is going to give us the mistake, meaning I messed up because I didn't yield to my father says. I yielded to something else that I gave my ear to. So although he knows, it doesn't shift or change the will that he wanted for us. And it's going to always be there. He wants his children that he created for him to give him worship, to give him praise, to live eternally, to give us life more abundantly. But the choices we make, there is a consequence. And it's saying that you can make whatever choice you want to make. That's the free will. He give us the free will. The next time that God creates and washes everything out, he could change everything, right? But in the word of God now, if he says that he's all-knowing, that means God knows right now. You don't know nothing. You can outthink and say, well, it looked like I made the right decision to make this turn. But God sees a head-on collision ahead of time. If you are in tune in the spirit to hear him, you will know this is not the choice that I need to make a left right now. I need to wait, right? So there are moments and times if we are yielding and making choices according to what he say do, if we're in alignment, then we won't make those same mistakes. But it's only when we're outside of the will of God, because the will of God would never change. It's set. It's set. But when we're making and we're deciding to get in the flesh, when you're in the flesh and thinking, operating outside of what is, and God is spirit, you're going to make mistakes because you're not in alignment. So mistakes they're going to happen when you're not in alignment. But if you're in alignment, you're not going to really make those same mistakes. Have you ever made a choice and made a decision and realized it wasn't the right one, and you realized that you wasn't in the right frame of mind or you wasn't in tune? I know it's happened to me many a times that if I would have been yielding and listening prior to me making a choice and decision, I would not have made that mistake. Or I've made multiple mistakes because I was never yielding. I was never yielding to what God says do. But God's will, I believe, never changes for our lives. It never changes. It's set.
So, Nikki, you got something? Because you've been quiet for a minute.
No, I'm just listening. I think that what I'm understanding is that we are mixing his will with whether or not we have free choice or whether or not he knows what it is we're going to do. I think God definitely has a will for all of us. And I think that his will for his people in general is already set and not going to change. But, the question of whether or not he's all-knowing is a really good question, because if indeed he is all-knowing, then it's almost like, I don't even want to say it, almost like, so it's just living out what it is.
You breaking up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. It's rumbling.
Like,
hold on.
Hear me now?
Tyrell, is your mic? Everybody mute your mic. Everybody mute your mic.
Can you hear me? Okay. So if he knows and he's all-knowing, then I think the question becomes, are we, even if we're making the wrong decisions, are we doing what he already expected us to do because he already knew? Not whether or not his will was for us to do something bad, because we do have freedom of choice, but whether or not he knew that we were going to do something bad. And does that mean that even when it's something bad, he was already aware of it and we're just acting out what it is that he already knew we were going to do?
Okay. And that's kind of along the line that I'm thinking, right? Because if I'm all-knowing means that I know all the choices that all of these things that I've created are going to make. I already know the choices, right? And on top of that, I created this whole platform upon which for them to go make these choices, right? So if it's all-knowing and it's all sustaining and it's all everywhere, then when we make those choices that we view as mistakes, maybe they're not mistakes. Maybe they are a part of God's larger plan.
And sometimes that is the case. Like I have a mixed agreements and disagreements with that, because while yes, I do believe in some things is God's will for us to learn and experience, because we will not be the people that we are without some experiences. And we have to go through certain things, because even the Bible says that we go through certain things for the testimony to help others. So if I didn't go through certain things because of the bad decisions that I made, then I would never have the testimony to bring someone out of what they are in. So this is why in some lines, yes, God's will, well, not in some lines, God's will is straightforward. There is no question to his will. But my decisions help me get to my testimony. So rather if it's one line and I'm going zigzag because that's the choices that I made, those zigzags God uses those to help me align back with the path that He has for me. So eventually, when I line back up, there's stuff from my teens and from my early 20s that I can minister to people about because I've gone through it. But if I would have walked on the path that I know God had for my life from the time that I was a child till now, I wouldn't have had those same experiences.
Right.
You about to say something?
No, I was done.
I thought Nikki was saying, or was that you, Vicky? Somebody said something.
That was me. I was just saying that, that's the whole purpose of God's mercy, right?
Mm-hmm.
God's mercy carries us through when we don't make the right choices. Just know that in God, all things are good. So if you make a wrong decision or a bad decision in your life, that doesn't necessarily mean when we're lined up in His will that we're not going to make, the right choices. But He turns the bad into good, regardless how you look at it. So if you did in turn make the wrong mistake, that is why we are redirected. We are redirected because we did not go into the alignment of what we should have done, what God ultimately knew that we were going to do. But He is now redirecting us. He's given us mercy because, okay, He ultimately could, give us a consequence, or even in a chastisement. God chastises us because He loves us. If He never chastises us, that means we will never learn from the mistakes that we have made. So we will know to not do that same thing all over again, right? There are certain cycles and things that we choose to do on just because we never took the time to really seek God into knowing or gaining the knowledge and even gaining the wisdom on not to repeat certain things. But I'm not going to sit up and say that the one that created me is not all knowing, because if that's the case, that's saying that God is not knowing everything that's happening in this world. He is God. Like, He created this world just by speaking. Like, He created every detail and intricate matter in our own bodies. Like, He's all knowing. God knows everything. Okay, I'm not going to take that away. We can agree to disagree on that one. But I'm just saying that He knows that, okay, if this is happening in this hour, if Cherie is going to make this decision, I have this for Cherie here, and I know if something comes that she's going to make this decision to this way. But if I send a couple of my helpers, some angels, to come and speak to her, she will go into the pathway that I want her to, because now she's yielding. But I also know that if she's not choosing to listen to me, this is a pathway that she's going to take. Either way, we're either going to deal with consequences or we're going to be directed into the pathway that God has for us. And I'm saying, to end out what I'm going to say, is that, yes, I ultimately believe that God knows what choices that we're going to make. Like, He sees it before it happens. He knows my beginning to my end. So if He does not know my beginning to my end, how can He not be all-knowing? Because He knows. That's why we have to number our days, because He knows. I don't know when I'm going to leave this earth. I don't know when my last days, but He do. And sometimes if we are not obedient, those days could be cut short. We don't know. But I would say is that, yes, we make mistakes. And ultimately, if we're not really seeking God into learning or obtaining the wisdom so we won't make the same mistakes all over again, we will continue. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's the end all, because God always directs our path when we put Him first. You see a lot of people who are doing what they choose to do, but they're not putting God first, but then put the blame back on God because it didn't work out the way that they expected. And then they want to say, God, why you let this happen? Well, you weren't being obedient in the first place. It's the same thing. It's like, Mom, why you let this happen to me? Well, I told you don't touch the stove, but you still touched it, didn't you? You got burned. But why you do it? I told you, but you chose not to listen. It's the same thing to me. Choices, free will.
So I guess for me, the what's the word I'm looking for? The issue that I run into, and I'm not, this is about to end because it's almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's right.
We done moved all the way over.
If God, I guess what I'm coming down to is this: if God is all knowing, if I submit to the idea that God is all knowing, then I can't submit to the idea of
To what?
I can't submit to the idea of God being all knowing and the idea that we have free will.
That's a choice.
Well,
I'm sorry. I'm speaking for myself. I believe that is a choice that you decide to make, because I personally believe that God has a specific will and that I also have free choice. And this is why I believe that the Spirit makes intercession, and that also there's a time when I know what's right and what's wrong, and I have a chance to choose.
Okay, but does God know the choices that you're going to make? Like, are those choices already, when God said, let there be light, and this whole thing came into being, were your choices that you were going to make a part of that manifestation?
Yes, because God knows everything. He knows the beginning and the end. And this is going to be my last analogy, because I know we're like far on time. We have the spirit, the soul, the body. The spirit we know belongs to God, comes from God. The body is what God made. The soul is what the spirit and the flesh fight against, or fight for. So the soul is, or excuse me, my apologies. Let me backtrack. The spirit belongs to God.
uh-huh.
The soul is what many theologians says is our personality, our being, our intellect, everything. Our flesh is of the world and is our physical connection to this earth. The enemy has the ability to talk to us, to speak to us, because he cannot tamper with our spirit, because our spirit is pure and from God. But our soul is what we are trying to get into heaven, or what will be condemned to hell. So with that, you have the juxtaposition of when one is saying, do this, do right. That's your spirit man talking. This is how I believe it is. Your spirit man is talking. What comes from God is speaking to you to do right. Your flesh is what tries to pull you to do evil. And when that happens, that's when you make that split decision. And yes, I believe that God knows all those items, because he even knows what Lucifer is going to try to get you to do, because he's all knowing. So because he's all knowing, he knows everything that's going to happen. He's just waiting for you to make the appropriate decision.
Okay, got you. I mean, Nikki, you got anything in closing?
I got a question. So was it God's will that we get into this conversation? Because we definitely started off this conversation. Okay.
So,
something happened.
Well, like was Vicky talking about not seeking a man, but waiting for the man God has for her to find her, because it's his will. And that is how we got into this conversation. But in closing, I think it's a beautiful conversation to have. I think, everybody being able to express their opinions and their perspectives is a good thing. I think people should do what they think is best for them, because that's to the level of understanding that you're going to be able to have, right? For some, that may mean waiting. I think for others, that may mean taking action. As long as you take your power back, you good in my book. Y'all be good, be safe, be blessed. Peace.
God bless.